Hello, Fermented Folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show gave me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here. Hello, Fermented Folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we debate the best movies, books, and shows in the genre fiction realm with our distinguished guests. Said guest today is Kyle Love, my friend and longtime collaborator from BadWater Bouldering. Kyle, welcome to the fucking show, my guy.
Thank you. It's excellent to be here.
Yes. We're stoked to have you, man. We're stoked to have you.
Yeah.
You can see Kyle chiming off in the comments as BadWater Bouldering here and there if you go back through some episode history. And today he's going to be chiming off on the motherfucking show.
That's right.
And we're stoked to have you, Kyle, because you and me have talked about Game of Thrones together for years.
Oh, yeah.
But we haven't talked about this one. We haven't talked about this one because it's brand fucking new. We got A Night of the Seven Kingdoms tonight. That is the newest installment from HBO in the film versions of the Westeros canon, of the Song of Ice and Fire canon. Of course, there's also the House of the Dragon, and then the highly acclaimed show Game of Thrones, which most people know, and you definitely know if you've ever listened to this podcast, because I won't fucking shut up about it. Night of the Seven Kingdoms is different, though, than Game of Thrones, and we're going to talk about all the ways that that is the case. But before we do that, we're going to go around to our personal updates and get an introduction to Kyle Love, our guest today. We'll start with you, Travis. What's going on?
Oh man, I feel like I had one prepared and then I just completely and utterly forgot it and was unprepared.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm just
All right.
I'm just teaching.
Is that your update?
That you haven't stopped teaching? Is your update?
Anyone who knows, who was a teacher, has been a teacher, is a teacher, who's listening now, knows that April and May are not hell, but they're very different because the kids are just like, we're ready to go. And
Oh, yeah.
you can't stop us from being ready to go. And you're like, you still have 3.5 weeks left where we can get learning done. And they're like, no, that's over. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. You mean 3.5 weeks of wasting my fucking time?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah, it is a tough time.
Yeah.
I think it's the hardest time, honestly, because like there's those last couple weeks where the teachers also resign themselves to the inevitable. Like you still do your job and everything, but there is a certain point where you're just like, yeah, all right. Like we all know where we're at. But this is the part where you really do have to continue to try to hold attention and stick with your curriculum and genuinely prepare people for finals and whatever else they had. I don't know how you guys do finals in your school because I know it's different. But you know, it's a hard time. They've got basically the pre-summer attention span, but with still the like the school motivation to do work.
They
And
have
it's a hard combo.
Oh, yeah.
My sophomores, I don't think realize, and I've warned them like 15 times, but we have a lot of study halls. Our school is very like work and play designed, free time, teach people how to use free time well. And I made a geography test for them that is hard, and I gave them like a month to study.
Sure.
And I keep reminding them of it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll study." And I'm like, "You have to memorize 5 facts about the entire Middle East for an oral exam, and you won't have any paper in front. Like, you just have to be able to spout the facts off when I ask you about a random country. Sure, you're ready? Yep, we'll study." I'm like, okay. So that's what we're
Okie dokie.
Alrighty.
Sounds good. Well, good luck to those sophomores, and good luck to you, their teacher. Thank you for your wonderful update today, Travis. Jeremy, what's going on with you?
Well, hey, I'm updating the saga of
Okay.
how just absolutely messed up my leg got.
Yes.
But maybe that saga is coming to a close because I am now officially done with the wound clinic.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
So, cheers, everybody. We're doing it. I'm
You're
gonna
into
have,
the
like, a
post-wound
whole-ass
world.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Kyle and you can commiserate. Kyle's been injured so many damn times from
Yeah. Oh yeah.
bouldering's a dangerous game. People don't realize that it's like way more dangerous than top rope. Actually,
You
maybe
hit the
not.
ground every time you fall.
You hit the ground literally every time, and that's how you get hurt. Turns out, you might be a lot higher when you're on a rope, but if you usually don't hit the ground, and if you protect yourself well, you often just fall right into the air and kind of like get a nice springy bounce, and then you climb back up. When you're bouldering, you just fucking fall and hit the ground.
Hit the ground every time.
And your protection is your homies that have been like smoking weed and drinking all day, and like
They're like,
push
they're like
you
5
onto the-
steps too far back, and they go, oh, but it's too late then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Badwater bouldering. You got Casey and Emma and Jake and all these wonderful spotters who know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
That you guys put on a good production out there, but long hours and everything. Things happen. My personal update. I have a couple cool ones. I hit publish today on the audiobook for Cairn. So that is going
Nice.
to approval for Audible. And that is, if you don't know already, that's book 2 in my Voices from the Cold rock climbing horror trilogy through Dark Forest Press. Book 1 was Crevasse, which I published a couple years ago and then got republished under Dark Forest. Cairn is coming out in a couple weeks. May 2nd it releases. My release party is at Crypticon Seattle. So if you're in the Seattle area, you should come to my release party. It's going to be fun.
Oh hell yeah.
And right after it, I'm also interviewing Matt Dinneman, and we're doing Fermented Fiction live with literally everybody on the screen right now will be involved in that. So y'all should come. It's going to be fun. That's my
on this
personal
too now,
update.
Kyle.
Yeah,
I know.
Kyle's going to be
I'm in.
on our film crew. So
Yeah.
that's going to be really fun. But yeah, I anticipate we'll have a few people, and many more people will be at the Matt Dinneman thing than my book launch. But I assume at least these 4 people will be there, and that'll be great. Kyle, who are you? What do you do? Where can people find it? Tell us all about that stuff.
Hi. I'm gonna move my camera because that's my wife back there. Oh, that's my new wife. See, you can kind of see the back of your.
Ooh.
That's fine.
Hi,
I just got
Anshu.
married.
Wife.
I just got married. That's Anshu, my new wife. I just got married in December, so that was gonna be part of my update. So that's a big deal in my life, I guess.
Sure.
And who am I? Well, I am a filmmaker, all-around filmmaker. I've been specifically leaning into making bouldering YouTube videos in the last 10 years. So you can find me on Badwater Bouldering on YouTube, where I, post climbing videos all the time with my twin brother. Another sweet climbing update. Okay, this is new. Clay, you might know this. You might not know this. You know this about,
this is
about the
fucking
book.
sick.
So
Yeah.
this book here is the Western Washington Bouldering Guidebook that has all the different climbs in the Skykomish Valley. And me and my brother recently acquired the rights to make the second version, not volume 2, but a second edition of this book that we will be writing and releasing in a year. We're hoping to get it done in a year.
That's awesome,
so
dude.
We've been working our asses off on getting that, and we feel absolutely honored that the writer of this book, Pablo Zuleta, sought us out, and he's like, I want you guys to carry the torch and do the next book. It's been 10 years since the previous one, so anyway, that's my big sweet update for my life right now. Besides getting married, which was also sweet and awesome. Anyway,
I wanna.
That's
buy
super
that.
cool, man. That's super cool. And you guys, if you are a climber and you look up bouldering routes in that area, Jake and Kyle are all over the place on the forums. They're all over on Mountain Project, helping out with beta, establishing new routes. They've established an entire new area called the Smithbrook Boulders. So yeah, these guys are the real deal when it comes to climbing in this area, man. It's awesome. Congratulations, Kyle. That's great.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Are you guys still publishing through Mountaineer Books as like the masthead, or are you doing it through like Badwater?
Oh, that's a great question. So we don't know exactly how we're gonna do it. We're gonna put the Badwater name on the book somewhere. We're gonna call it Western Washington Bouldering Second Edition.
Nice.
But we haven't figured out about like the actual publishing side of it yet.
Okay.
So maybe I'd ask you because you might know some one or two things about publishing. But yeah, we were gonna ask the Pablo because he's like, I'm totally there to help you guys with any steps that you need. So we have a couple resources for who to ask. But I've never published a book before. I know someone here has, but I've never done it.
Yeah. I'm on book 12, so if you need some help, let me know. Travis. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I'll be asking you.
Yeah, we'll chat. Travis, what were you going to say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Very good. I was just going to say, I'm going to buy that and put it on my shelf. And then there'll be two great things from that. A, I'll support you, Kyle, and your brother, Jake. Yeah. And B, people can walk by and be like, oh, you boulder? And I'll be like, never in my life. Not once. Never touched one.
Exactly. Exactly. Nope. You've got a conversation starter and conversation killer all in one.
All in one book. I'm very excited for it.
Literally an entire conversation just from looking at that book. That's great. Start to finish. Speaking of killing the conversation, let's kill this conversation with a little transition. Let's get into talking about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, because I know we're all excited to do that. It's been a long time coming since we did another Game of Thrones topic on here. I think Travis and I, way back when we were just doing this show from like our closets and just debating each other on everything, might have done Game of Thrones. But
so.
I can't even remember, to be completely honest, because I've purposefully forgotten those chapters of this show.
It's impossible to know.
I haven't. We're bringing Narnia back because I don't like how I talked about Narnia back in those days. We need to do it again.
You're a much bigger C.S. Lewis stan at this point, so we definitely have
really?
to. Oh yeah, he loves C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, we can go back to Narnia if you want.
Completely flip the script.
Don't even get him started. That's good.
You probably won't have to. C.S. Lewis might just come up. It happens.
That's what happens.
Narnia would be good though. I mean, that's a good one to go back and chat about. It'd be a good Christmas episode. But anyway, we're not doing that right now. We're doing Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So if y'all don't already know, this is the newest installment of the Game of Thrones IP on the HBO network. It is based upon a collection of novellas. There's 3 novellas in the book, and season 1 is the first novella, which is called The Hedge Knight. It's called The Sworn Sword. Book 1 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I think, is called The Sworn Sword. No,
you were right.
Book 2 is The Sworn Sword.
Yeah, you were right.
Come on.
Book 1 is The Hedge Knight. Novella 2 in that book is The Sworn Sword, and that will be season 2. It's in production right now. I have a fact about that that's not so fun, but we'll share that at that junction.
Clayton, never doubt your Game of Thrones knowledge. Always go with your first answer. You got it up there.
Fair. I do.
Yeah,
and I did read this book back when it first came out because I was one of the many waiting for Winds of Winter way back when I was still in fucking high school. And I'm still doing that today. Winter is coming, they say. But I haven't seen that White Raven. I have not seen it. Y'all let me know if it flies over Montana first. But yeah, what has come is this show. It is the story of Sir Duncan the Tall, who is one of the most famous knights in Kingsguard history. That's the knights who dress all in white and they guard the king of Westeros in King's Landing. So if you've watched the main show, like Meryn Trant and the Hound and Jaime Lannister, it's gold armor in Game of Thrones. It's white in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. But those are the Kingsguard. So Sir Duncan the Tall, there's a brief reference to him in the show. Joffrey is in the Kingsguard headquarters, and he's looking through the big book and Jamie's in the room, and he goes, "Oh, 6 pages for Sir Duncan," and then he flips to Jamie's page, and it's 1 page, and he's doing it to like give Jamie some shit. He's like, "Oh, someone forgot to write all your great deeds, Uncle," because Joffrey's just a little prick. But Sir Duncan the Tall, 6 pages is a lot in that book. It's pages of his famous deeds. So he's a very famous knight in Westeros history and in George Martin's lore. And he's clearly one of George Martin's favorite backlog characters because he wrote 3 novellas about him and has 4 more that he has outlined and planned. Those are as likely to come as Winds of Winter, if not less so. But the show might do it. Who knows? Anyway, they have done The Hedge Knight. They have done novella number 1 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. The premise for this is Sir Duncan the Tall. His name is Dunk kind of early on because he's still finding his way into knighthood. His master, his liege knight, who is also a hedge knight, Arlen of Pennytree, passes away, and Dunk is left on his own to figure out where to go. He does have armor, he does have a sword, he does have 3 horses, so he decides to go to a tourney and try to win some matches, win some valor, and maybe be taken into the service of a great house, find his way into being a proper knight. And that's his mission. While he is at an inn on his way to the tournament, he stops at an inn at the crossroads where he meets a little boy, a young boy who's bald and thinks he's a stable boy, gives him his horses. We come to find out later that boy named Egg is not what he appeared. And we'll talk all about that as we break down the show. Just so you know, this is so, especially since this is a newer show, we're going to spoil everything. So if you don't want us to do that, go the fuck away. If you don't care, feel free to stay. And I didn't even mean that to rhyme, but it sure fucking did. We're going to get into our debate now, right after we roll some dice. If you also have never been to this show before, this is how we do it. We roll 2 d20s. High roll will defend a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Low roll will attack it, regardless of what we actually think. Afterwards, we'll all talk about what we really think, and then we'll have a panel discussion on anything that comes up around this narrative. Kyle, you ready to roll?
I'm ready,
Roll
baby.
those dice. Roll those dice. 10-minute
Nat
timer.
20. Let's fucking go.
Oh, it was
Oh
Destiny.
shit!
Nat
Game of
20.
I got a 16, which
It
is
was
actually not that bad. But it was
No,
not
that's
bad.
not bad
it
at
was
all.
destined.
Not as good as that.
Clayton is
Wait, okay, so
destined.
you're defending and I'm attacking.
That's
He is
right.
defending.
That's
All right.
right.
Look at his
Oh,
Martell
yeah.
shirt. He's the Stan and the
Martell
dice
Dornish
pad.
Stout. Let's go.
All
I
right,
would drink that today too if it was a real beer,
if it was a real beer.
but it isn't.
Jeremy, get out of here. We're gonna do a
Fine, get
10
out of
minute timer, and we're
Jeez
gonna have our
Louise.
debate. Kyle, Clayton, are you ready? Keep it maybe clean. We don't really care on this
Meh.
show. Clayton, you're gonna start with the defense, and Kyle, you got to tear this thing apart. Worst thing you've ever
Oh,
seen.
I'm
And
ready.
we'll see at the end. 10 minutes start in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Whew, I'm so glad I rolled high because, boy, this show is fucking amazing. It has reinvigorated my faith in HBO. It has reinvigorated my love for the Game of Thrones IP on film, which was something that was very, very, very severely damaged. I thought insurmountably so, in fact. If you've ever watched this show, you will know I hated every season of Game of Thrones after season 6, and I was already starting to dislike it about mid-season 6, and it takes a really steep downturn. I did not like House of the Dragon. I thought they did so many things wrong, and that, to me, felt like the exact kind of spin-off I would expect, which is one that is shallow, one that is over-commercialized, one that does not do any justice to the realms that George Martin has painstakingly created. However, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms returns to form. It does what Game of Thrones did right in the first 5 seasons, which is it follows George Martin's story, it follows George Martin's script, it sticks to the characters that he developed extremely well. He has backstory on backstory, he has lore, he has all this stuff already really, really well established, and it's shown through action, it's shown through great character development, great world building. You don't need to add anything. But it also translates really well to film. because George is a good storyteller and his characters, they pop on the screen. And this one is a perfect example of a great spinoff. I think it's pretty reminiscent of the quality of Better Call Saul relative to Breaking Bad. It does a lot of really different things. It has a different tone. It uses music differently. It has a lot more humor, but it still remains true to the subject material. It stays true to the world, and it follows the novella pretty much to a T. So if you read the book, if you like the book, you'll be pleased with this translation to film because they were very, very loyal to the subject material, and the liberties they did take were ones that made it stronger.
Oh, is that all you got?
That's all I got for now. I have plenty of gushing I could do.
Okay, well, reinvigorated my faith is a very interesting thing for you to say to me, especially after we had our whole debate about is Game of Thrones the best show ever, and then it turns out to be shit. But we'll get back to that. Okay, listen, I can sum up A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms in 2 words. Nice try. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on me again. Now, it would be impossible, or at least evasive, to write a review of any story set in Westeros without mentioning the infamous show that started it all. Game of Thrones was the perfect work of art that was ruined so blasphemously that the entire world of George R.R. Martin is forever tainted.
Mm-hmm.
Then years later, House of the Dragon was released, and I watched season 1. I felt hope. I liked it. I fell in love again with the whole of Westeros, but of course, season 2 was a lackluster disappointment, and it completely lost me. And
terrible.
I could only blame myself for that second fooling.
True.
After season 2 of House of the Dragon, I swore off the Game of Thrones universe entirely. I wasn't going to get dragged down into a cinematic universe hole, the ebb and flow of show quality like Star Wars or Marvel, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But as I said, shame on me. The Knight of the Seven Kingdoms was released, and HBO cleverly put an adorable kid in the promotional imagery. And my wife and I couldn't help ourselves but click watch now. What did they think? Did they think that they could just cast the cutest kid in the world and suddenly I'd turn a blind eye to the egregious and, more importantly, unmotivated use of nudity, gore, and literal shit? Oh, you want examples, I hear? I'm sure you remember Gigantic Hanging Dick, very reminiscent of Hodor, but without the motivation of him being a giant, just gratuitous nudity for at the worst.
Our little penetrate is hung, bro. That's all I have to say.
Let me talk about the absolute worst cut I have ever seen in cinematic history. We see the setup for the entire show as Dunk decides he's going to the nearby tourney, followed abruptly by an ass spewing diarrhea for no reason. No setup of some bad berries, no discussion about how hard or unhealthy it must be to travel on the road constantly, no drinking unfiltered water from streams or eating nothing but stale salt beef, nothing. Okay. I must assume that this was showrunner Ira Parker's way of letting me know that what I was in for. Speaking of the showrunner talking to me, was using Tennessee Ernie Ford's 16 Tons as the final credit song a confession from the showrunner? I sold my soul to the company store. All I could think during the final song was, oh shit, I see. HBO is turning into Amazon Studios and Game of Thrones, and it's just Fallout schlock. And I'm not going to get easily fooled, Ira. I know you thought maybe if we make Westeros funny, people will be okay with a season of only 6 30-minute episodes consisting of an entire 10 minutes worth of actual story content. Now, for a moment of praise. Shoutouts to color corrector Tim Druitt. You see, it was clear to me that the cinematographers and gaffers were so bad. The only way to salvage the frames was to throw a deep, dark vignette over absolutely every shot. Nice code, Tim. Speaking of bad cinematography, Gustav... Sorry, do you want to go for a second? I'm almost done. Speaking of bad cinematography,
go ahead.
Gustav Danielson, I'm disappointed. The final scene of the show, it shows Dunk nailing a penny to an oak tree, but the shot was so wildly shaky and out of focus. Don't worry, I can hear Gustav saying, we'll fix it in post. Just throw some heavy warp stabilizer on there and hope the audience isn't prone to seasickness. Was that the best shot you got? Maybe do another take, Gustav. Now, I could go on and on about specifics. Obvious twists and turns, tired set designs, a distractingly disgusting snorting of phlegm and spit. But what it comes down to is this. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Is it Game of Thrones? Or are you distancing yourself from that travesty? Well, maybe next time distance yourself even further by coming up with a new IP, because it's official. I'm never going back to Westeros.
Well, that'll be your loss. Frankly, I can see some of your misgivings, but I think they're all pretty intentional. Ira Parker and Gustav certainly know what they're doing. They worked on the Game of Thrones show for a very long time as high-level producers and cinematographers, so I'm not going to question them because I am neither of those things. What I will say is I love the story in Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and I think it accomplishes everything it set out to accomplish. I think it knows exactly what it wants to be, which is a refreshing return to Westeros from a completely different lens, a completely different perspective. That's what I loved about the book, too. It presents the lower level of the kingdoms to us, free from the sort of gaze of the higher class. You still have Egg, but Duncan is the main character, and Egg and Duncan's contrast with each other, their differing opinions, their differing worldviews, really help to characterize Duncan a lot more deeply without having to do any extraneous exposition or dialogue that doesn't feel like it belongs. In fact, most of the dialogue to me felt like real conversations. It felt very organic. It felt very real. I felt like these were real people talking to each other. So they're not always just talking about the quest. They're not always just talking about what they have to do next. Like a lot of the time they're just talking about, you know, fucking him failing to hit on a girl, you know, and Egg being clearly more educated in the ways of just talking to other human beings than Duncan presents a nice contrast with, like, you have this little kid figure who's much wiser than his adult counterpart. But yet, Egg is also still wise enough to know that he has something to learn from Duncan, and he sees something in him. He's got the makings of a great king, even though he's just a little kid. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you know that's what Aegon is destined for. That is also referenced in the original show, because his brother is Master Aemon of the Night's Watch. And when he talks about, actually when he's on his deathbed and he says Egg, that's who he's talking to. He's talking to Aegon. But yeah, I mean, I love this perspective of the lower class. I love the hedge knight. I love being a part of the world from a place where I don't feel like we really got to explore in the show proper, because even though there was a couple lower class characters, they were always framed in the gaze of like how it affected a higher class character. And I know you could still argue that like that is the case with Egg, but I do feel different in this show. I feel like Duncan is the center of the story, not Aegon. And that's really interesting, especially when Aegon is such a prominent character.
It is so clear to me that you're such a fanboy. I mean, I remember you even said you compared it to Better Call Saul earlier, and I was like, that's a great comparison, because Better Call Saul was also so boring. Nothing happened. It's terrible. It was so terrible, and people loved it. I cannot understand why.
All right, Kyle, I'm going to cut you off at insulting what I think is one of the greatest television
Everybody
shows
grab
ever made,
it.
but okay. Come on, Better Call Saul. You're coming out of that. Okay.
Good night.
We're done with that.
Yeah.
We're done with that. Don't come after my boy Jimmy. Great debate.
Go
people.
after his boy.
I'm sure we're going
Get
to
'em.
talk a lot about both the Night of the Seven Kingdoms and Better Call Saul because it keeps coming up in episodes. I don't know.
I'm
But
hot now, Clay.
Wonderful.
I'm hot.
Not. Before we do all that, we have two things that we always get to. First, trivia, and before trivia, drinks of the week.
Yeah.
So not
Clayton-
actually first.
No.
Third.
Clayton, you're in left-hand corner here, so let's just pop you right there. And what you drinking?
I got dragon's milk.
Dragon's milk.
And I sent Deanna to get it for me. Oh, you got dragon's milk too.
Oh, we
Nice.
got two dragon's milk. Wait, raise it again, Kyle. Raise it again, Kyle.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, and you got
Tales
Tales
of
of Gold, while I have the triple mash. I sent Deanna to get it for me, and so she got this like barley wine version of it, and it is delicious.
Nice.
I assume a similar flavor to what the Dornish Stout would taste like. So yeah, big fan. And please don't come after me and chop off my fingers or my tongue or any of my other limbs. I am,
No.
paying some homage to the dragon. So
Yeah.
leave me
Fine.
be, Arian. Just fucking fuck off, bud.
Jeremy.
Oh, God. Well, hey, it's it's a special occasion, not having to go to the wound clinic anymore, and I don't hate this show.
Hey.
So I've busted out my special occasion whiskey,
Nice.
this Woodenville cask strength bourbon,
Nice.
and made myself a maple old fashioned with it.
All right.
Nice.
I went in fashion to Valhalla Meadery because I feel like a meadery is probably the closest we get to ancient medieval times drinks, ales and meads. And I got
Sure.
the little bottle of Solstice Strong.
Look at that little guy.
It's gonna be a fun one.
Dang.
And when you buy the little bottles, they give you a little horn.
Oh,
Aw.
There we go.
that's
So we got
adorable.
a little bottle
Wow,
with a little
that's
horn.
cool.
There we go.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
They just gave you that horn?
Yeah, it comes with you buy like a 5-pack or a 6-pack. You buy a little 6-pack carrier, and they give you 5 meads and the little horn.
That's actually pretty
Uh-huh.
sick. That's a
Yeah.
good deal.
It's very fun.
Nice. All right.
All right.
Okay, well, I actually went to. Hold on, I'm not done. So I went to to go get something that was themed. So I got a little dragon. I also have a founders with a little horse on it. 'Cause
Oh,
I'm-
nice.
I'm
There you go.
Duncan. This is Egg, and then my horse. They're
let's
both
go.
11%. So if I fall off my horse later, now you know why.
I'll be with
Yeah.
you with the 14.4, and I got
I saw
another
that.
one that's 10.1. So here we go.
I'm
Yeah.
at 17.
Woo! 17.
Let's ride.
Well, this
I'm
episode
at 113.56.
proof. Nice.
Ready,
That's
rock.
absolutely.
I also have my
rich.
Hobbit mug here that I'm gonna
Nice.
drink out of from my
Nice.
Hobbit days.
All right. I have some facts, but I'm sure, Clayton, you have a much deeper knowledge of all things Game of Thrones than I do because I haven't read the books yet. My wife is currently obsessed with them and has started reading them all and read all the compendiums and everything. So I need to read them because she won't stop telling me to read them. But I will get there. There's a little bit about this. Author George R.R. Martin wrote the first novella back in the 90s. So it's been a work in progress, even though it was published way later than that. He's definitely had these characters in his head for a while, like most of his characters. He has stated that they're 2 of his favorite characters he's ever written. They both get shout outs in the original series. Clayton has mentioned those in his debate. Oh, this one's fun. I wanted to talk about the family tree a little because I found it really cool that this story is sandwiched 3 generations on both sides between the shows we know. So House of the Dragon is 3 generations back. King Aegon and Queen Rhaenyra are 3 generations behind King Maekar, or it might be 4, but it's somewhere around there. Oh, no. The characters we know in House of the Dragon are 3 generations behind King Maekar and Prince Baelor. And then 3 generations in front of that, we get Queen Daenerys and Jaime Lannister and the Baratheons and all of that. So it's like right in the middle, which is cool. And if you go look at a picture of the Targaryen family tree, it is wildly complex, but not as probably just as complex as the family that they're based on. So
Yeah.
real history because no, it wasn't the Tudors. Why am I forgetting the name? Was it the Tudors? Never mind. I'll come back to it later. Very complex English bloodlines there. Duncan Egg's deaths were revealed when they were mentioned before. George R. R. Martin reportedly has big plans for the series. And that was about all I could find through various different sources on the internet. This was one where if you go to the IMDb trivia page, it's sometimes the trivia page is just stuff that the show just tells you. And I hate when that happens. And that's one of these cases where it's like, this is after the dragons died. And it's like, yes, I learned that from the dialogue. you didn't have to put that on the trivia page. One thing this isn't really a fact, but I'm gonna open it up to everyone after this, is I can't decide, Clayton, fellow history person, nerd, Kyle, I don't know if you're a big history guy. Jeremy, I don't know if you're a big history guy, but I know Clayton is. I can't decide which character in George Martin's canon is Edward the Black Prince, the king who never was, because there's like a couple candidates, and I feel like Prince Baelor is one of them.
I think it might actually be Blackfire, which if you haven't read the book, you don't know about him yet. But Egg sings that little song when he's in the tree, and it's one of those songs where it's a cuss word and it turns to the next verse or whatever. That's him singing about the Blackfire Rebellion, which is explored a lot in the second novella because Duncan ends up serving a very small house. That's my favorite book of the three, because it's a really deep dive into like small house Westeros. He ends up serving a guy called Sir Eustace, who was a knight in the service of the Blackfire Targaryens, who were a rebellious branch of the family that lost to the current ruling branch of the family. And so now he's got a very tiny holding with like a few chickens, and that's basically all he's got, like a tower and some chickens and like 2 knights, one being Sir Duncan. So you get into this cool deep dive into what it was probably really like to be a knight for a lot of knights in medieval Europe. And I really, really enjoyed that part of the story. So I'm excited to see what they do with it in the show, if they can keep up the quality of season 1.
I wanted to mention that because a lot of what I'm going to talk about in our true opinions here in a second is the realism and the kind of like, this felt like Martin writing historical fiction without having to deal with all of the, well, you didn't get the armor of that English knight correct, because he's got it in like a fantasy world, which is really cool. And Edward the Black Prince is one of my favorite stories because just this like figure that everyone talks about is like the greatest knight who ever was, and he would have been the best king, but his son is Richard II, who literally was so bad that the Plantagenet bloodline like ended with him because he was the worst king in history. Well, maybe.
I mean, that's certainly a competitive category.
He's up there. But that is a competitive category. So.
Very competitive.
He's a contender.
He's a contender, but very, very, very competitive.
Very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I can spout off a few fun facts from the book if people want that. They made Baratheon's character a lot bigger in the show, which was one of the choices I alluded to. That was a liberty they took. It did work for me, but if there was anything that I would have harped upon in a negative light, it probably would have been that. I think they overused his character maybe a little bit. Most of the dialogue in the show is directly from the book. I've read it a couple.
Which character did they add?
Well, they didn't. He was in the
not add, but
Baratheon.
The Baratheon?
Yeah,
Okay.
Lionel Baratheon. He was in the book, but he wasn't
the guy who's
nearly...
like partying with the tug of war. That guy.
Love that actor.
With the antlers, you know.
I love Daniel Eanes. He's so funny. But.
Yeah, he's in the book, but he's not nearly as prominent of a character. Dunk spends a lot more time with Raymond Fossaway. That's kind of like his best buddy. And he spends a little... they showed it. They showed him going to the puppet shows and everything. Most of the dialogue is lifted right out of the book, which was really cool. And
Raymond Fossaway is the cousin?
Yeah, the green apple. The guy that
it.
fights for him when his cousin just totally ditches him. That's directly out of the book too. All the lines are right out of the book. So I thought that was really cool. Most of the dialogue is directly from the book. What are some other fun facts? Oh, they did the 2 other knights that fought for Dunk, Beesbury and Harding. They're a lot cooler in the book. Humphrey Harding was a badass. Like they only showed a little of him. He unseats a couple people in the first joust, but in the book they spend a lot more time actually watching all the battles and all the jousts. And Duncan also fights in the melee, and he kind of learns that that's where he belongs, is in the melee. He does actually try in the lists in the books, and he gets his ass kicked just right away. And he learns that the melee is where he thrives. But Humphrey Harding in the books is kind of kicking everyone's ass, and that's the reason that Aeron Targaryen cheats and shoves his lance through his horse's neck instead of actually fighting him, because he would have definitely lost. Another thing they don't really show in the show because they just didn't have time, but is interesting, is some of the political maneuvering that was like commonplace at these tournaments, which serve to position the princes in winning positions in the bracket. So you will see a lot of. I'm drawing a blank on Darian's son. I'm trying to look it up here.
I'm thinking Steve.
Yeah. Steve Targaryen. That's right.
Yeah.
Prince Darren's son. I can't remember his name, but he's the one who, after Darren dies in the fight, he goes, "Be gone, Sir Duncan."
Prince Maekar?
Or Baelor's son. Sorry, Baelor's son.
Baelor's son,
which is Darren, I think.
Oh.
Anyway, the one son, not the drunk one, but the other one, who at the end is talking to Duncan, and he's like, "Be gone, Sir Duncan." And he's like, "Why did the gods spare you and not him?" He
Valar.
has, Valar. There it is. He has a lot bigger role in the book too, and there's a lot of that like political maneuvering based on true history, where only like lower ranking, less prestigious, less likely to win knights tend to hit his shield with the lance and joust against him, so he keeps winning and winning. They touch on it briefly because Duncan says, "Oh, I bet he's the best knight in the tilt," and Egg says, "I'd take that bet." And the reason he says that is because he knows Valar is not really that good, and he's only winning because he's jousting against shitty knights. And then you also see that referenced when the master of the games comes to Duncan and tries to convince him to like take a dive. But he clearly did convince plenty of other knights to do so. So you see some of that stuff. Those are just details that you can learn in the book if you read the book. There's also more. Lord Beesbury's really good. But the two guys that fight for Duncan, you don't really get the effect of how big of a deal it was from the show. But in the book, when you're like, "Oh man, how's Dunk gonna get out of this?" And then those two show up, you're like, "Oh fuck yeah, he's got a chance now," because those two are badass. Even though that guy's leg is broken, you're like, "That's fine. He just needs to stay on his horse because we know he's badass on his horse." And Lionel Baratheon, they gave him a substantially larger role, but I think it was fun. So that's some fun facts just that I'm pulling out of my ass from the books. But
So you're telling me Valar Targaryen is the Jake Paul of Westeros?
No, he's still like, he's not a douchebag.
Oh,
I would say Aryan is probably the Jake Paul.
The Jake Paul.
Valar is like, I don't know who he would be. I don't know a good comparison. He's like maybe he's like the Carolina Panthers of the tournament. Like he won his division because his division is the NFC South.
Yeah.
And if he was in a different division, he'd have been like, 4-11 instead of 10-8. Yeah.
That's a good
but it was a good time. It was a good book. I definitely recommend it. It has a great audiobook. If you like audiobooks, the narrator for it is fantastic. And that's a great way to consume it as well.
All right. Any other fun facts about a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms? I mean, I knew Clay would bring the knowledge.
There is one of the planned ones that hasn't been written, but I hope the show will do, is Duncan Egg going up to Winterfell and being contracted by the Starks, who are ruled by like some of the like Stark sisters are up there too. Before Eddard, and there's a long lineage of like warrior women from Winterfell, and a lot of fighting against the Greyjoy Reavers and Wildling Raiders and stuff like that, which I'm a sucker for that like sort of Viking type crossover lore in Game of Thrones. So I would love to see them explore that a little more and get a little Greyjoys that aren't like tainted by the late stage Game of Thrones bullshit. Yeah. Like the Greyjoys that are actually the Greyjoys, like Vikings, longships and stuff, instead of massive clippers. I don't know why they did that.
Euron isn't just Jack Sparrow? What?
Yeah, Jack Sparrow, but somehow a bigger asshole than Johnny Depp. I don't know. He's actually not in the books. He's like a crazy sorcerer guy. He's like possessed by a demon, and there's all kinds of crazy shit happening with Euron that they could have used. Would have been a lot more interesting than let's just have another douchebag. Like, let's do that. But anyway, yeah. That's another fun fact. That's the last one I got. But there's, a chance we get to go back to Winterfell from the Duncan and Egg perspective, which would be fun.
Kyle,
Yeah.
you eviscerated this show. You brought
great job, by the way.
You put
Great
your
job.
dukes up.
You were bringing the heat.
Senses. Tell us right now, was that all a lie?
Yeah, it was pretty much all a lie. I mean, okay, so I wrote this out, right? Which is, I guess, maybe cheating. I don't know. So I wrote all this out.
No, do it.
It's okay. So, and then when you started like coming back at me and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, it's hard for me to argue with you. I mean, you're like, right. I agree with everything you say. I definitely was like actually straight up not going to watch this show until you were like, hey, you want to be on the show of Fermented Fiction and we could talk about it? I was like, oh, okay, now I have a reason to watch this. Because I was pissed at, I mean, I'm still pissed, right? But then House of Dragon Season 2 was made me so mad. I'm like, because the thing is, I actually liked Season 1 a lot. I thought it was really good. I thought the characters are super strong and everything that's happening, I thought, maybe it was a little small, of a show. I mean, it had all the kings and stuff, but it was like just in like one room. Everything was like in like 2 or 3 rooms. But regardless, I really liked Season 1, and Season 2 was so bad that I was like, I'm done with this shit. I'm not doing this anymore. It's like Star Wars. Like, I really do believe it's like Star Wars. Like, okay, how many? And then I'm going to have friends be like, oh, you got to watch this one though. This one's good. I mean, eventually there's going to be hundreds of Game of Thrones things. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. So I was going to give up early. I'm really glad that I watched the show. I still have the fear that Season 1 will be good and Season 2 will be bad.
They can get to Season 3 on George's books. So they should be okay till then.
Then it'll start to suck. But I really, really did like it. I want to talk about that first cut though, because I do believe a little bit about what I said with the cut to the diarrhea. What the fuck was that? I'm so mad. So like the show started and there was they didn't do what House of Dragon did and use the Game of Thrones music. They didn't use it, right? And they didn't have like a title card at all. And I was like, or title sequence. And I was like, oh, this is great, right? Then he said, I'm going to do the attorney. And then it cut to that ass. And I was like, oh, so this is like The Boys, but like late season The Boys, where we're like, oh, let's just disgust and shock the audience like a Louis C.K. joke or something, just with nothing. And I was like,
did you notice they used before the shit scene, it starts to play the Game of Thrones song?
Yes, I will talk about that. Okay. So when they cut to that shit, if it wasn't for this podcast, I would have turned it off. I'm absolutely offended by that cut. I'm shocked that made it into the final edit, and I don't know what the hell that was happening. Then I was going to sleep, and I'm like drifting off into sleep that night, and I like shoot up, and I wake my wife up, and I'm like, oh my God. And I actually wrote this because I wrote 2 different versions. Obviously, I wrote the praising version, and I wrote about the fact that this was Ira Parker shitting on Game of Thrones. It played the and then just shit.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh,
literally.
I get it. So suddenly it turned from the worst cut in cinematic history to a brilliant like Star Trek historical like you've watched all, you need to know, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly it was fucking beautiful. I loved it. But then in like season or episode 5 or 6 or something, they played the music again. And I was like, no, what are you doing now? I was so upset again. I was like, oh, well, that just, it took what I thought was a brilliant thing, shitting on Game of Thrones, and then just being like, actually, nah, sorry, we don't. And so I'm torn because part of me wants to think it's like the best cut, and it's such like a shit in the face to D&D, right? David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, such a shit in the face of them. But then they used the Game of Thrones music again, and I was like, oh no, they really like lost me. So I don't know what that's about. But the rest of the show was fucking great. I loved it.
What are some of the things you would have said if you had to argue for it? Out of curiosity, I'd love to hear your script because your other script was great.
Yeah, so a couple things. One line that you would have liked that I wrote that I really liked was Lucy Bevan's casting of Peter Claffey and Dexter Soul Ansel as Dunk and Egg deserves a Nobel Prize. Because I like literally just love those characters.
They're great.
So I have not loved characters like those two characters in so long. Their chemistry is just amazing. So,
Dude, that kid is so good at acting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
stupid good.
Anytime I see a child actor that good, I'm like, all right, that lifts anything. Like if a thing could be at a 1 out of 10, and if a child actor acts his balls off that well, I'm like, that's 5 points. This is
Yeah. And then you watch something that has a child actor who's no good, but you're like, it's fine. You just kind of ignore it. You're like,
get over
what do you expect? What are you gonna do?
It's
Like when the dog, the dog actor is like clearly looking at the trainer or whatever off screen. I can't not see that, but I'm like, it's fine, whatever. But when you see, I mean, like I believed every word, every action. He was insanely good. Yeah, the casting was amazing.
Daniel Ains. I mentioned him already once, but man, I love that.
Oh,
guy.
he
And I
slays
know
it.
Lionel got a bigger part, Clay.
Oh,
I didn't know that, but like he slayed it, and he's in one of my favorite British comedies that's very underrated and not seen very often. It's called Lovesick, and it's literally about a man for 10 episodes tracking down every woman he's had sex with because he figures out he has a venereal disease. And it's like, it's brutally honest, but like really funny. And Daniel Ains won my heart with that show, and I was so happy to see him in this.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I guess Kyle, if you want to say anything else, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll say.
I mean, I got more, but you can go.
No, I want to hear more. I want to.
Okay.
I interrupt.
No, you're good. I could read my script, but it's fine. So the other thing that I really liked about the show, I mean, it was like Game of Thrones universe, but like chill. Like you said this. And as you were saying this, I was like, I completely agree, but then I had to disagree with you. But it was like chill. It was like, okay, not everybody's out to kill everybody. It's like enough already with this, right? Enough already. And so that was
no
really
little
nice.
finger.
I did think a couple times, like when they were doing the tug of war scene, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, somebody's gonna like lose and somebody's gonna get mad and somebody's gonna stab somebody, and then like nothing happened. Which
Nope.
Part of me is like, that's boring, and the other part of me is like, nah, that's great. I mean, that's great. So I really loved all that. Here's the one thing. Like, I wrote this. I can't remember the last time I was Shyamalan twisted so well. I started reading this book actually like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I don't know. And I got like a chapter in and I was like, it's not for me. Right. Mostly because I still am mad at Game of Thrones in general. I'm not a big book guy. I do love some books. I love some books, but I'm not a big book guy. Right. I don't like go way out of my way to read stuff. So if it doesn't like grab me, I don't necessarily do it. But also I've learned this about myself. I hate reading because I'm a movie guy. And when I watch a movie after reading the book, all I can do is compare and contrast, and I can't just take the movie for what it is. And so what I like to do is watch a movie, then read the book. So I'm really excited. I'm so happy I did not read this book, because then me and my wife can be sitting on the couch together, and when he's revealed that he's a prince, we're like, no, okay? And the best part about that reveal is, and I wrote this in my thing too, it's not a Knives Out reveal, okay? Knives Out is some shit mystery. It's like you can't solve it. If you're paying attention, you still can't solve it, right? Until your detective tells you all the information. The moment he said it, my brain started, and I was like, oh my God, it was so obvious. I feel like an idiot. Yeah. I feel like an idiot. It was right there the whole time.
Yep.
They were giving it to me, and yet I was so just taking it at face value because it was so cute and so fun. And so I give major props to that. I could praise the show, but like obviously Martin has a lot to do with it. But the show, they did a great job. They gave me all the pieces, but then I just was enjoying the show. And then when they revealed, I got to like do that puzzle, and that was so satisfying for me. You guys, I haven't had a twist hit me like that in years and years. I mean, it was so good. It was so good. And I was in that situation. I was like, how does Dunk get out of the situation? He's dead. And if this is Game of Thrones, there's no way he can get out. This show's lesser than Game of Thrones. There's going to be something stupid. And then instead it was that. And I was like, oh, that's great. So it brings me joy thinking about it, you guys. Oh, I really like this show a lot. It was very good.
That's so cool to hear a perspective of someone. This is like my friend Isaiah had never watched or read Game of Thrones. And I got to like sit there and watch him and he'd never heard any spoilers, and I got to sit there and watch during the Mountain and the Viper scene.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
this
great.
is what I'm seeing from you, Kyle. It's like, oh, Egg was a prince. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Not everyone knew that. Like Isaiah reacting to like the Viper dying and like throwing his phone at the TV, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's how I felt, and that's how I saw my brother feel during the book. Like it's cool.
Yeah, it's really satisfying, and like I haven't had that in a long time. I mean, I guess since Game of Thrones, really. I mean, like, because there's shows that do it, right? Shows that have your twists and turns and stuff, but nothing hit me like this. And then, like I was saying, they gave me all the pieces, so it's on me for not catching it.
It's true.
And then I will say the action in the end was also great. It reminded me of The King with Chalamet, and like that the fight scenes in that. I'm like, dude, fighting in armor looks so hard.
No,
I really like that. It was like they couldn't even kill each other. They just whoever was like too tired to stand up loses. And I thought that was so
whoever
fun.
bleeds out first.
Cardio saved life in medieval times.
Yeah. So like when I watched The King, I was like, that's the best medieval fighting I've ever seen. Especially like this in that movie too, that there was like the siege that just was so boring. And I'm like, that's what a siege is. You get nothing happens and just wait it out, right? So this show did the fight scenes so well at the end. I was like the one shot where it hits the mud and the mud. I'm like, oh, this is so good. It was just
Such
so
a sick
entertaining and great cinematography. I do stand by my shit talk about that last shot with the penny tree thing. I'm like, it was so shaky and so warp stabilized. I'm like, bro, what is happening? Get another shot, get another take. Why is if the focus was supposed to be on the tree trunk because it's about the tree and not about Dunk, that's fine. But then you have to frame it differently. You got to put it on the third. Don't have it on the leaf up here. That doesn't make any. I stand by that was a bad shot.
Just fix it in the post.
I swear to God, fix it in post. I swear to God.
Screw that. Lock it down. We got
lights
tripods.
Lights going down. We can't do it again.
I'm putting that on the AD. Like the AD was like, I don't give a shit. We're done. That's our day. We gotta go.
You
got 6 takes of this, Gustav.
Dude, it was the shot. It was the shot. I was so disappointed.
Gotta get it.
It was the arc of the season, and then
Clay,
no, I feel that.
Yeah.
You were pro, and are you pro, or did you lie?
Oh yeah, I didn't lie. I didn't lie. I could have tore in a little bit on metrosexual Lionel Baratheon and the fact that there's no fucking way Duncan the Tall would have survived the clobbering that he took, taking 3 flail blows directly to the skull after getting shafted with a war lance. Yeah. But honestly, that's how it goes in the book, almost exactly. So the amount of hits and everything, it's all directly from the book. So I am not hating on it. And it was fun to see it portrayed on film. It was so brutal. I love the mud shot. That was one of my favorite shots of the whole thing. Yeah, just that. And that I love that whole sequence. Just he's the breathing and the narrow field of vision. And then he's riding towards that war lance and you're like, oh, he's fucked. There's no way this turns out good for Dunk.
And there's a whole other, a bunch of other people fighting, but
yes.
I don't know. Where are they? They're somewhere. And that's great. Because when you're fighting, your vision's like this. So you're not going to know where they are. So I felt like Dunk a little bit. He could get hit in the back at any time.
Totally.
I like that. It was great.
And you see it happening all around him. That is the chaos. That chaos is reminiscent of some of the best battles from the original show.
Yes.
For all the flaws of the late seasons, the Battle of the Bastards was a sick battle. Yeah. And that chaos of that opening cavalry charge that Jon Snow's right in the middle of is great. And this had very much that feeling of the Battle of the Bastards. It's muddy and chaotic and frantic and terrifying. And it's just it was horror, it was right in your face with the brutality of medieval warfare and the realism that really drove that all home. And if you know the characters, you can also kind of see how the battle's progressing, but it sort of rewards the astute viewer. It rewards the rewatcher.
Yes,
like
I
you're
had
saying,
that feeling,
Kyle,
actually. Yeah, that I would like to rewatch it for that exact reason.
Totally. If you go back and rewatch it, you can actually see the mace blow that kills Baelor. You know, it's in there. Because I had watched this a while ago when it first came out. I was very excited because I'm a huge fan of the book. I was also very nervous, but I watched episode 1 and I was like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
good.
This actually looks
Even
pretty sick.
after the shit shot.
No, I was with you though. I picked up on that immediately. Like, they started to play the music and cut to a shit, and I was like, "That's awesome, dude."
Yeah.
They're straight up shitting on like
It was
what
great.
you think Game of Thrones was, and what you think it is, and what you think this show is going to be. Ira Parker was very clearly like, "This is neither season 7 or 8, and it's not House of the Dragon. This is its own thing." And it's uniquely positioned to do that. And my favorite thing about this show that I didn't quite get to is it really is one of the better spin-offs I've ever seen. I do think it's on par with Better Call Saul, which I did thoroughly enjoy, because it brings its own flavor to the universe. It's not just doing fan service, which I think is something that Star Wars falls prey to a lot. The Marvel universe falls prey to a lot. It's like, oh, you like Boba Fett, right? Well, that's our show premise. That Boba
doing
Fett's
it.
fucking sick. Do you need more than that, or can we just all agree that Boba Fett's fucking sick, and that's a whole show?
Yeah.
I
It's
cannot agree that Boba Fett is sick.
Boba Fett's super overrated. We'll talk about that another time. But like
But he fell into the. Wait, what did he do? He fell into the. That's it.
the Sarlacc pit.
He
Yeah.
fell into the pit.
Yeah.
All I did.
all he
He
did.
fell into the
Killed by Han Solo, who could not see.
He looks
exactly.
super
He fell
cool.
into the one spot for hundreds of miles that would kill you if you fell there.
Whoa,
And he
guys.
had a jetpack. He
He
was
made
the
a
guy equipped to get out of that situation.
he made a brief appearance in the short film inside the Star Wars Christmas special. So
Yeah. It's canon that he got out of the Sarlacc pit,
Yeah,
but we
come
don't
on.
need to go into that bullshit.
Star Wars
Anyway,
special.
this didn't do that. It wasn't about fan service at all. It awards the very enthusiastic fan like me, for like, you get to hear about the Grey Lion, and you get to hear like about like Old House Lannister. You get to see the old Lord of Tully, who, if you're a fan, you know, is like the grandfather of Catelyn's father. So like Catelyn's great-great-grandfather, who bites off the head of the fish. And there's Steely Pate. I love Steely Pate, like the blacksmith, a character, again, straight out of the book. And you get to see the Knight's Oath. You get to see Raymond Fossaway getting knighted by Lionel Baratheon, which starts an entire house, an entire separate bloodline. So if you're like a Game of Thrones nerd, this show rewards you, but you don't have to know any of that shit to enjoy it, because it's funny. It's got clippy, organic dialogue. It has great music. Like, the music was super weird. It almost reminded me of like a Western. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of the narrative devices used, a lot of the character work, a lot of the music, the whistling music, the acoustic strings, which are both like reminiscent of medieval and Westerns. I thought that was really cool. And Dunk and Egg have a very Western kind of narrative too. They're two lads out on the road, you know, kind of up against the world, up against the law, and finding a way to get out from under these like oppressive societal systems by their own gumption. And that's kind of the story of a lot of Westerns. So I found this being a very like Western-esque but medieval setting. And it's a really fun show. You don't need to know anything about Westeros, but if you do, it also has lots of fun nuggets. So it's a really deep show on a lot of levels. Ira Parker, clearly it was like a love child for Ira Parker.
Yeah. I got to jump in there because I fully
Yeah, do
agree
it.
with you, Clay, that I had that same feeling about the Western. Like, it was reminiscent of some of the better John Wayne movies where it's always like the mentor older person with the young child that's still trying to learn the Old West and Wild West, who's innocent and like is seeing death for the first time. And some Louis L'Amour books, which are usually the better John Wayne movies, are based on Louis L'Amour books. So same thing. But
He's
really,
like the Philip K. Dick of Westerns.
he is. I really like this show. It was exactly what Westeros needed, the like world of Westeros. Kyle mentioned House of the Dragon season 2. was dreadfully boring and just literally season 1 again, and I hated it. And I was like, oh man, like
How can a show with that much war and that many dragons and that much sex be that fucking boring?
I didn't finish. It was so boring. I got halfway through and I was like, oh, so we're just gonna do the same conversations we just watched 8 times again? Great. Like, I'm not here for that. But like, so many problems with that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But I thought this was like the 30-minute episodes, the lightening of the tone, but keeping it still like serious. Like Baelor's death is a serious freaking moment. This show is not devoid of those dark Westeros moments that we're used to, but it's within this contained story. It's a contained story. It finishes. If you never watched it again, I think this would be satisfying enough to have like an ambiguous ending of these two riding off into the sunset. That works. I love that it's that contained. My wife and I sat down and we like started watching it and literally binged it in one night, stayed up till like midnight because we just wanted to continue. The comedy is actually genuinely good. That's the one thing that like some people's perceptions almost painted my view because of the shit scene. And then I'd heard people be like, oh, it's trying to be too funny. And I was like, oh man, is it going to be like toilet humor, like The Boys, like Kyle said? Because that's what lost me on The Boys. I stopped watching when it was like, you're doing gratuity for gratuity's sake. Great. I hate that. And when I saw the shit scene and I had all those voices in my head, I was like, oh, strap in, I guess. Here we go. And it didn't do that. And I was very, very pleased. Like most of the funniest moments are not the gross ones, in my opinion. They're like Egg's dialogue is hilarious. His little like quips and insults to Dunk, and Dunk just being a clueless guy is hilarious. But no, I think I was very pleased, and like I'm very excited to continue watching because it's exactly what Game of Thrones needed was. And I think the comparison we can make, we've brought up Star Wars a lot. This is more like Andor, where it's like,
yep, I was going to say that.
Get out of all the shit that you're so obsessed with and just follow this guy who's doing stuff within the universe and have fun with that. And I loved that.
I still haven't seen Andor. As much as people have said, you got to watch Andor, it's good. See, but Star Wars, they did too much.
They done you dirty.
I literally just, I can't enjoy it. I don't care. I tried, even turned on the first episode. I was like, I hate Star Wars. I'm so bored with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones hasn't, although it's burned me, when I even during this show, like we just like paused it for some reason, and me and my wife just started talking about Game of Thrones and just about Cersei and about Aegon and about just everything. We just kept talking. And we're like, oh yeah, we still love this so much. I obviously Game of Thrones is way better. Like the cement of Game of Thrones is better than Star Wars. Star Wars is a joke. It's got nothing. It's got nothing holding it up at all. Game of Thrones is great. So it's really easy to talk about like these characters and that characters and the history and stuff. And so this show allowed me to do that, which was great. And thank God I haven't gotten completely like Westeros out like I have Star Wars. But I know I should watch Andor. Everybody says it's good. And I will one day because everybody says it's good.
This is I will say, Kyle, I was going to make the exact same comparison. I think this is the Andor of Game of Thrones. Just it's coming a lot earlier. Like we needed Andor right on the tail of the sequels, the sequel trilogy. We needed Andor.
Yeah,
that's when we needed it.
I would have
most.
watched it probably, and then I would have been like, okay, not all Star Wars is complete ass, but that now it is. So.
Yeah, we needed Andor a long time ago, but he was not the savior that came at the time.
No.
He was he's Edward the Black Prince.
The savior though. This show, I mean, if they cannot do the whole season 1 is good, season 2 is bad thing, even Fallout. I didn't hate Fallout season 2, but I loved Fallout season 1. I thought it was great. It was so like the game. I felt like I was playing the game. And then season 2, I was like, okay. Right. And if season 3 is the same quality as season 2, I'm over it. Right?
I'm out.
So I'm worried that this show is going to have the same decline as even The Boys. Like you just mentioned that. Boys season 1, I love. the gore and the violence and the gratuitous, all that shit is so motivated, right? This show actually, like, I meant it when I said, I mean, the shit thing, we already talked about that, but the big cock.
Just
I was actually like, oh no, like this
Sir
is,
Arlen, dude.
this is
I chuckled.
if you had a shot of Dunk or anybody like walking around a corner and then he's peeing and you're like, oh, sorry, and you get to see it, and then it goes away, that's a motivated cut. But that was like, just, it felt like, oh, let's just show a big dick because it's funny, and but I'm like, it's not motivated. I didn't like that. That felt unmotivated for me, and I was like, it's too much. But that was the only one. Even the shit scene I became okay with. So the dick scene was the only one that I was like, that's a little unmotivated, a little bit.
I think that was a little bit of. I think that was a little bit of Ira Parker hearing people complain about, because there's a lot of criticism about Game of Thrones where all the gratuitous nudity is female, and there's like a minor, so it's got that male gaze thing. I think this was Ira Parker just being like, you want a cock? Here you go. I win a penetrate.
There it is.
Let's get a huge cock out here for you. That's the equivalent of what we showed you of the women in Game of Thrones. Fucking here you go. Quit your bitching.
It is fascinating that this show is better having watched and knowing a lot about the previous shows. Like, if you didn't know anything about Westeros, like you said, you could watch the show and you would enjoy it. But knowing all of that, it's like, it is like, I did feel like the showrunner was talking to me. It was weird. I have not felt that before. It was really weird.
But not in a totally shitty way. There were moments where it was like, I get it, Ira, I get it. But like there was with the shit scene specifically, and the dick scene. But I didn't mind it as much because I've heard all those criticisms, and I was like, that's kind of funny. And we actually don't see much gratuitous female nudity, if any. I actually don't think there is any, actually. Which is a change, a big change for Game of Thrones. I think most of the nudity is male, so that's an interesting turn, and I think that was very intentional. But usually I hate when I can see the author or the writer on the page because I want to be engrossed in the story.
Same.
But I feel like they did it pretty tastefully in this, where it was like part of the story enough that you're like, yeah, you hear the fans, you understand. You were a fan, you are a fan, and you were also burned by the show. I think maybe we forget that. Like, we forget that as fans that are detached, but people who were involved with the show were hurt by that.
The actors
developments as well.
Jeremy?
Goodness.
But yeah. Also, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think Prince Baelor is the JFK of Westeros. No, I mean, literally, they literally have the same wound that they die from and everything.
I love that. That's great.
That's crazy.
Not Edward the Black Prince, JFK.
Yeah, he's JFK. He was like supposed to be the perfect king, and then boom, head blown off by his own people.
See, that's the twist. That's the twist I thought you were talking about, Kyle, because that was a
great twist too, because he walks in and he's still talking, which is super realistic. And then they pull off his helmet. You just don't see it. If in the books, I think more, you don't see it coming because you're like, oh shit. I
saw that coming. And the reason I saw that coming is, and I saw it coming only like a minute before it happened. Like when he walked in, I was like, so I'm suspicious. And then, like,
he's fucked up.
But the reason I saw it coming is because he is like a Mary Sue sort of, like, he's too. This guy can't be king.
He's too good. Mm-hmm.
All of it would be solved if he was king. He's gotta die, right?
Yeah.
I saw it coming, but that's because the show. I mean,
can't be there.
Knowing too much about character arcs. Like, if your character can't arc because your character's like too good, so I kind of saw it coming a little bit. That was not the twist that got me. I did not go like, what? But when he said, "Oh, brother," or whatever, I was like, "Oh my god!" He said, "Of course, Prince, of course."
One more thing.
Go ahead.
I gotta
just keep jumping on. This show's fucking awesome.
We'll just keep talking about the show. We
can
take
one more.
I forgot to mention this in my true thoughts. I also love that, and maybe I personally like to look for, goodness, people who are genuinely good in stories. And that's one of the biggest criticisms I've heard in my kind of like circle of educators in the Catholic sphere of Game of Thrones is like, I don't like reading this story where all the good like human beings just die. And I think
The grim dark.
I think Martin has a reason for it because they don't play the game right, and the game is a inherently evil game, like a bad game. But I love that Dunk is so far just a good dude. and he wins.
Spoiler alert, that does not change.
Yeah, I love
Dunk,
that.
there's a reason he's a famous
Just a
Kingsguard knight,
good
and it's because
dude.
he's just a good fucking dude.
Yeah.
But
And I
he's not
think
perfect.
it's
He's
a
good
great
guy, but he's
thing-
not perfect, which is
No, he's not.
unlike the other guy, the Prince, like you were saying.
Prince, yeah.
Like he felt
Baylor,
like he was
yeah.
perfect. Dunk has so many flaws.
Dunk has
So,
flaws,
he's a
but
great
like
character.
he's
He's
got
like
this-
good
he's
hearted.
got this beautiful heart. He's
Yeah.
got the right motivations. He's got like no one could argue like that this guy's motivations are bad, and he wins. And I think to me that was like George R. R. Martin being like, "See, I can do it. Shut the fuck up."
Yeah. And you know what I love about Dunk too in that regard is as an athlete, and I think all of us have been athletes at some point to different degrees. And I think we can all relate to being like, that guy should not have fucking won. But like Aerion Targaryen, way better fighter. Kicks Dunk's ass. And he should have won, you know? But Duncan wins because he's bigger. And like for all of us short kings out here, like, bro, I hate it. I hate parts of it.
bro.
I know
But at
you
the
do.
same time, obviously I'm rooting for Dunk. But there's that other side of me who's like, that is, I mean, if I was like watching this, I'd be so annoyed. I'd be like, come on, bro. You've got him. Just like finish the job.
Funny.
You know, and my favorite like moment of the whole show was one I did not expect at all. It was a very small moment. Lionel Baratheon was fucking awesome. That actor's incredible. I haven't seen him in anything, but he was incredible. And
Go watch Lovesick.
love the
Hilarious.
Baratheons as a house. So I was a big fan. I loved that they put Lionel in the story more because in the books, I was like, what a cool fucking character. The Laughing Storm, just fucking people up and party. And like, I want more of this guy. And Ira knew that. He was like, you know who's way too cool to be in the book as little as he is? Lionel Baratheon. Let's get him all the way in here.
Hell yeah.
But I love that moment at the river after Dunk wakes up and he's like, hey, could you show the prince a little respect? He risked his life for me. And Lionel's like, fuck him. He didn't do anything. He didn't risk shit. You know, it's we risked everything. We died. Like 2 other guys died for you. He just agreed to fight people who couldn't hurt him. Fuck that guy. That was a great moment.
I totally agree. Because like Travis was saying, it's like everybody's so nice, and even the whores were like apologize to Dunk, and then like the other guy, Dunk was like, oh, here's some extra money for the horse, and the other guy's like, hey, you can have the shield for free. Everybody's so nice, and there was a point where you're like, well, this isn't believable. Why is everybody so nice? But then he's like, fuck that guy. You know, like, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's actually totally believable. He reined it a lot there. I agree. It was great.
Even before that, you get the little like scene with the Fossaways where the Fossaways are like, the Targaryens suck. Like,
yeah,
these
that was
guys,
great. That was great.
they're foreigners. We don't want them here. I was like, oh, so we get this cool little insight into what people thought of the Dragon House. But
yeah, and that's overshadowed by like Baelor being such a perfect dude.
Mhm.
But he's so like such a paragon of good that it's easy to forget that Makar's right there too, just being an asshole the whole time. He's just like, I said, fuck me, not fuck him. Fuck off. Get out of here, you know? Like, just being a dick the whole time. Jeremy, did we take everything or do you still got something to say? Sorry.
Absolutely not. Now, I do want to start off by saying I did enjoy what I watched of this show. Probably gonna keep going.
This fucking
okay.
guy.
No, I love this.
Because the rest of what I'm going to say
Jeremy.
is going to sound like a dissenting opinion. All right. So let's.
Someone's got to do it.
I started by saying I like it. All right.
You did.
Yeah.
Which
did.
is more than you
Everybody
ever did
remember
for
that.
Lord of the Rings.
Which hurt my soul.
Lord of the Rings.
Don't.
I was
just
gonna
keep-
say,
just
if
keep
I
going.
harder,
Don't
that's not the
do it.
problem.
Just don't.
Anyway, so I feel like I gave this show my classic 3-episode test, and it leads me to a question that I want to ask people later, but I gave it my classic 3-episode test, and I feel like this show is deliberately trying to mess with me because
Yes.
it doesn't follow. Yes, I know it is, but it doesn't do what pre-streaming era shows do, where it like establishes the whole everything you need to know in the first 3 episodes, where like you're introduced to the main characters and the main goal, and ideally enough world building for you to understand the story. You're introduced to the thing that complicates the main goal, which in this case was, oh, Egg's a prince. Yeah, I know. I watched this show and I was sure that only Dunk was surprised by that, but turns out also Kyle. So that's nice.
Oh, so you figured that out?
Well, I mean, in like the second episode, they're like, "Oh, the princes are missing, and the youngest one is named Aegon." So,
Oh, okay, yeah,
You
but
know.
they were all named Aegon. So I was like, yeah,
There's
okay,
like
whatever.
50 Aegons.
I was like bored. I was bored of that conversation when they're like, "Prince is missing Aegon." I was like, whatever, that's fine. I was
They're
too,
like,
I was
"Oh,
too
the
locked in
youngest-"
to
Exactly.
Dunk just as a character. But that's good that you figured it out.
Exactly.
See, that's what I liked about the twist is it got me.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
I didn't mind it as a twist because even though I saw it coming, like I knew Dunk was still going to be surprised and it was going to rock his absolute world.
Right.
And but anyway, once you get past that, typically episode 3 of a show, you're introduced to like the status quo, like what you can expect tone and stakes wise for the majority of the episodes for the rest of the series. Like that's and that's a good way to acclimate to many shows, but seemingly not anymore because this show in particular, with its short episodes and its frankly bizarre pacing at times, it ends the 3rd episode with you finding out that Egg is in fact a prince, and he cut his hair because his brother's a dickhead and he doesn't want to look like him. And I'm like, so wait, has he been shaving his head every day? Because that is one just shiny, clean, bald head on that boy. And
It's true.
that's what. How do you? But I like so much about this show that I am going to keep going, even though I have no idea what I'm supposed to expect going forward. But that is, my thing. I love that you start the thing and you get right away like, oh, so Dunk is doing A Knight's Tale. God, I'm on board. It's great, and it's like it's a cozy relative to Game of Thrones type story with people just hanging out and talking. I love the chemistry between Dunk and Egg, especially the thing of like oh, all the kids call me small and scrawny. It's like
Love that
kids
conversation.
used to call me stupid, and then like I'm not telling. How does that end
And
your
Dunk's
business?
just like, that's my business how I handled that. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
funny.
it's that, and it's great. And sure, I am weirded out by how much poop I saw in the first 3 episodes. Like, does the poop keep happening throughout, or is that like
People poop, man.
people do poop? Horses poop, and the show really wants you to know that at
Yeah.
least early on. I don't know, and I do obviously have mixed feelings about just the biggest hog we've committed to the Game of Thrones universe, I think.
Oh,
But it does
hands
do a
down.
lot to hands down. Like
Hands down.
there's no it's like a man's forearm. Like what are you good God.
It's like a man's shin, bro.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
Hodor
there
has
is-
a big dick,
Oh.
but his dick was like way. I mean, Hodor is like big.
But
in
Hodor's a
comparison.
big
Yeah.
dude.
Hodor
I know,
Arwen's
but,
like
like,
shorter than
humongous.
Dunk.
I'm looking at it right now, and I
Like,
still
wow.
think Pennytree has him beat.
I'm looking at it right now.
Pennytree's got it. Like it is not like that to
That
me
is
just
not-
explains so much. It explains so much about why he didn't care about wealth or glory. Nah, he doesn't need to. Because you got a hog like that. That's crazy.
Jeremy,
It's
I heard
crazy.
nothing you said because I'm looking at it right now.
Just looking at it. You gotta
Side
check.
by
We
side.
need to know.
I had to check. I swear.
making the
It's hard to
comparison.
tell because of the scale was like wrong.
Exactly.
He was like
The
a
scaling,
regular man.
We don't know how tall
But-
Pennytree is, but like he would have to be like really small for that to not be enormous. Okay. He'd have to be like 3 feet tall.
I do want the audience to know, and I shit you not, which is a pun. I was literally mid bite of refried beans when that shit scene
Oh,
popped
no.
on.
Nice.
I almost threw up. Like I was
Oh,
like,
no.
"Oh." It was bad. But anyway.
I know. I think, weirdness aside, I'll keep watching because, like, the things you guys said is great. And you don't. I didn't watch enough Game of Thrones to even come close to getting burned by the later seasons. I
Stop
think
it.
I finished much of season 2. So, like, you don't have to know everything to have a good time with the show, although it clearly helps.
It
So I wanna
might
talk-
not. I
I
don't
wanna
know
talk
if
a
it
little bit
does.
about okay, so what are we doing here, right? We're reviewing this show, and it's fascinating to I can review a movie because the movie has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then you can talk about it, right? But a show is so hard to review because, like, yes, you should watch this first season. The first season is good, but is it good? I mean, it has so much baggage, right? And the bar that it set is high, and it has to exceed expectations because of its baggage. And I'm so afraid. It is so easy for them to just kind of phone it in next season and just be and just like make something that's just fine. And even this season, because of my minor complaints, I'm very critical and a cynic, and I'm like, I hope they like. I get it, Ira. Like you were saying, Clay. You're like, oh yeah, he's talking to you. He's saying here's some male nudity for the sake because you wanted it, all that stuff. But don't do that anymore. Like make things.
You
motivated.
made your point.
I'm okay. I made your point. If you want to put male nudity in there, you should. But please make it motivated. Please.
Yeah.
Like Littlefinger works at a brothel, so when he's at his work and there's naked women walking around, I'm like, at least that makes sense. Like, I get it. There's like a weird lesbian sex scene that there's no reason for that. All right. Okay. I get it. He works at a brothel, but I do feel like this show could fall into the boys trap, which is just, we're going to make a giant dead whale and shove our characters in it for no reason. Like, I don't want that at all. So I pray that they like get that out of their system, and then they just like roll with what is good about the show, which is that it's not a Game of Thrones, it's a day in the life of a peasant, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
I do have to push back a little, Kyle, because I don't have the same. Maybe you're right to have fear, I think, and anxiety over that, but I don't have the same level of fear because I think I got the sense from the boys that was the point the whole time. They just didn't have enough money to do it as big as they wanted. Like, nothing about what Kripke wrote was subtle. He's as subtle as the dick on the Game of Thrones script.
He wrote Supernatural.
Yeah. I mean, Kripke, I was never under this impression that if Kripke got more money, he would keep being like smaller. Like, I was like, yeah,
so all I
the
can
boys
say,
get as big as it did. But I think there is the things in there, but like, I have a little more confidence in Ira to be faithful to the book because he was faithful to the book, according to Clayton, who knows I'm going to trust him.
Extremely faithful.
Extremely faithful. And so if we have 2 more short stories that he can be extremely faithful to, I'm like, okay, you didn't.
I know, but bro, The Walking Dead was shot for shot faithful to the comic, and I loved it. Season 1 was a brilliant adaptation of that comic. And then season 2 was a brilliant representation of 1 page of the next book of the comic. Like, why did they spread it out? It's crazy. So that's what I'm worried about. Like, yes, you're right. They did do a great job with season 1. It was faithful. That's fine.
Mhm.
But I have been burned so many times. Like the thing is they know, oh, we only have 2 more. People like this first one. Let's make the next 2 books last 7 seasons. Oh,
Well,
now,
but here's
I
I'm gonna-
pray that
yeah.
you're right.
Go ahead.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. I hope you're right.
I
said
do
this
too,
to Clay
Kyle.
about Game of Thrones. Remember 10 years ago, Clay. I said, I hope you're right.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, here's the difference, right? Like Game of Thrones, they cut more than they kept in. They cut a lot of stuff. I mean, book 5 isn't even in the show. You don't get any of the Dornish prince stuff. Book 5 is very centered around Dorne. Is centered around the mercenary companies. There's a bunch of characters in book 5 that aren't even in the show at all. Euron Greyjoy, who has a whole ass other brother, Victorian Greyjoy, who is a really cool character too. There's like 3 warring Greyjoy factions, and they just crammed them all into the Euron character and then said, never mind, let's just make Euron this character instead, and then did all the Greyjoy stuff with that. Let's kill all the Dornish just with one scene and call it good and then move along. That's what they did. But like they had an entire book of stuff they didn't use. So they didn't choose the route of let's make this 10 seasons. They chose the route of let's make this 2 seasons because all of our actors want to be in other things.
Yeah.
They could have milked Game of Thrones for years. They had the material from George R.R. Martin to do that. Now, what I'm excited about and what gives me hope about this show is they chose to do 6 30-minute episodes. They chose to do a mini series when they could have stretched it out. They could have like elongated it. They could have added extraneous bullshit, but they didn't. They just took the novella. They took the words right off the page and they said, this is how many episodes this novella makes. And that makes me really confident because book 2 is the best one. And if they're as true to book 2 as they were to book 1, it's going to be fucking awesome. It is a way more, it leans all the way into what you're talking about, Kyle, which is that day in the life of a peasant. You are watching Duncan serve this like robber baron knight of a fallen house as a house that served the right side of the war takes all his land from around him. And Duncan is the only knight that's actually like stands up to his knightly code above like his own personal interest. And so he continues to serve Sir Eustace even when it means like you're on the losing side here. But you swore your oath, so you're going to keep serving it out. I think every filmmaker can relate to it. It's the way you feel on like a 16-hour day when you're like, I think this movie's going to be absolute shit, but I said I would do it. So here I am.
I'm with you, Clay, and I know we got to go to 5-minute break, but I'm with you on, I think the biggest indicator I'll have to hold on to hope is if I see season 2, episode 1 pop up and I see the runtime is 40 minutes or less. I'll be like, all right, we're on the right track here. If it's an hour or more, I'm going to be like, buddy.
Then I agree. Yeah. And then I'll be hesitant because all the novellas are very similar. They're structured very similar. They're very similar length. They have everything they need to make like 3 brilliant miniseries. And book 2 is amazing. Book 3 is also really, really good. And it's a fun full circle thing because in book 3, you return to a tourney setting, but with much higher stakes. And Duncan is a lot better at what he does. He knows kind of his place. So it's a very different look at the tourney. And he's like a more experienced knight, but he's still him. And he's still a hedge knight at the end of the day compared to all these other guys. And then you also get this underpinning of the Blackfire Rebellion, which is a really fun like subplot that is only hinted at in season 1, but in season 2 you hear a lot more, and in season 3 it takes a center stage. So I'm excited. I hope that it stays on the trajectory it is, but we'll see. I also have your trepidation, Kyle, because Westeros done burned me. They done said Dracarys and just fucking lit me up with Dragonfire in season 7. And I was a very sad boy for a while.
Still charred.
But what are you going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go on 5-minute break because we are already 35 minutes past when we usually do that. Kyle, hopefully you're down to stay a little late tonight.
Yeah.
If you got a heart out, that's fine. But you're a homie, and I figured you were down to do like a 2.5 hour show.
So down.
Let's fucking ride.
Yeah.
Do it.
Everybody turn off your cameras. Turn off your microphones. We'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for being here on Fermented Fiction. We'll see you on the other side, like I said already. Goodbye. Hello, Fermented Folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know?
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
Everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
It's our yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my God, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was 2 lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up, you know?
Yeah. Dedicate that time.
You're
willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that was so
good.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
And if you want to savagely attack us in any way, you can do that on Patreon. You can do that in the YouTube comments. You can be like C.S. Humble, but maybe not as good of a writer.
You can, absolutely do it.
You can just eviscerate our shit, but only if you like, comment, and subscribe. You gotta
do it with one of your comments.
Yeah. I guess you could also become a famous author, and then we'll bring you on the show, and then you can also do that. But the alternative to that is like commenting and subscribing.
Yeah,
you know,
if-
like when that
If
mace.
the famous author thing is too hard, you can do the other stuff. And that's
comment
good.
is good.
Yeah, just do those. I want you to hit the like button like you've got that flail that Aeron
Yeah.
Targaryen has, and just smash Dunk's head with it. Like,
Right.
Dunk's
right.
head is the like button. Your
Exactly.
fingers on the mouse are the flail. Just fucking annihilate that thing.
Just smash that button like you own that shit. Come
Yeah.
on. Just get right in there.
Like it's the first trial of 7 in 1,000 years. Just fucking do it.
I am glad that Kyle, while we're waiting for Kyle to come back, I'm so glad that he brought up the king. Because I'm a huge Shakespeare nerd. That's a great loose adaptation of Henry V, but a great adaptation of Henry V. And he's completely right that action scene at the end between the Dauphin and King Henry is like so brutally realistic. Of just like, yeah, two men and a lot of metal just trying to outlast each other.
Yeah.
Like,
It's hard to kill someone in full plate.
it's hard to kill someone full plate.
Yes, I totally was thinking of that movie, which I really liked that movie a lot. That was one where, like, I mean, back in the day, me and my brother would sit down on Netflix and press play on random stuff and watch. You know, Jeremy, you said 3 episodes.
Oh yeah.
No, I give 10 minutes into an episode. I don't do 3 episodes. I do 10 minutes into maybe 5 minutes into a movie. Like if the movie doesn't have me in the first 5 minutes, bro, I'm out of there. And a lot of this is random movie picks. Like if somebody recommends a show or is like, or I've heard about it or something, or it's got actors that I like, I'll give it a little more time. But if it's a random thing, which the thing was, I mean, I started that movie and I was like, ooh, okay. Like first 5 minutes. And then by the time it ended, I was like, that was so good. And I didn't know who Timothée Chalamet was. I didn't know any of the actors. I didn't know the story. I didn't even know that it was a Shakespeare thing. I knew nothing about it. I just enjoyed it from the beginning to the end, and it was excellent. And then watching this, I was totally reminded of that because it was like, that is the best medieval choreography. It looked so real and so brutal, bro, and not fun at all.
No romanticism in that fight scene. It was fucking brutal. But what was romanticized was like the party of the tournament. And that's where the whole show lived, was in like the levity and the companionship and like the fun of being at a tournament. You know, it made me think of being at like a writer's con. Like all these guys, this would be the only time they see each other.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, but a lot of them would be seeing their like friends or that they haven't seen and they see once a year. And there's like all this fun and all this partying going on amidst the backdrop of like very serious political implications and literal like wartime strategy happening. Like one of Ned Stark's lines, Jaime Lannister in the original show says, you know, I've never seen you fight in the tourneys, and Ned says, I don't fight in tourneys. I don't want my opponents to know what I can do. But that was a very real thing too. Like you are definitely showing your hand if you fight in the tourney, and that can go for you or against you. But yeah, it's an interesting environment of the tourney in medieval times where it was like this weird combination of convention party and like,
we got to
I might
the
literally be at
tourney
war with these people later.
In House of Dragon, we got to see it, and it was so Game of Thrones. It was like, these people are just going to murder each other, and it's just
Backstabbing.
absolutely disgusting, horrible, like just villainous. And then this was like, this felt more like what I would I don't know. Expect is not the right word, but more
I think
like
it's
what I
more
would think
realistic.
of a tourney. It's like, oh, it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like people go for a reason.
They go
because it's fun.
And like even the one dude who like beats on his cousin, right?
Yeah.
He beat on his cousin a bunch, and then he's like, I could beat you up next. And I thought, oh, he's gonna kill his cousin and then try to kill. And like, no, he's just actually just enjoys the beating part. He's not gonna kill his cousin.
Yeah,
you know?
he just
he's
likes
not
kicking
the
his ass.
mountain. He's not gonna cut his head off because he is upset. You know, like, and I totally appreciated that. That was great. And then he is a villain at the end, but like even at the end, it was not. And I kind of thought it was going to be like 5-on-5, last man not standing, but last man alive. But it was not that. It was last man standing. It was just a yield thing. Like, and you know, 5-on-5. But if this guy yields, and then okay, it's over. Nobody dies, right? They could die, but they don't have to die. And I thought that was so nice, such a nice change of pace. It was so nice.
It's so nice, and it's so much more realistic for what is essentially just a sporting event. You know,
Yes.
It
But
makes
in
sense
medieval
that you would-
times when people
medieval
fucking died
times.
at sporting events.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even nowadays, sometimes
Sometimes people do die. at
Sometimes.
We
sporting
try
events.
not to, but
we try not to. But back then, we try a little less hard.
Yeah.
I do
we
think
try not to, but we also slam into each other with our entire bodies. So
I want to jump into my first question because this jumps into a few of my first questions. But we'll start with the mood and the realism and kind of like the balance. I just want to talk about that balance. We've already talked about it a lot because Kyle, you referenced one of my least favorite examples of this, of like levity becoming just base gratuity for no. I'm not a fan of The Boys. If anyone's understood that by now, I liked like a season and a half. Anyway, but I think this show really does blend that like realistic mood of a medieval, town that things can turn on a dime and become dark, like with Baelor, but also there's people that aren't going to care about his death as much. Also, I really a subtle thing this show does with realism and mood is, it's medieval times, and if there's anything you read in a lot of theology, it's like death was just such a present reality all the time. And so people had a completely different view of death because people died all the damn time, from famine, from sickness, at birth, from childbirth, from games in the night thing. So I think this just cause I think this painted a really cool kind of sense of cool in the sense of its realistic sense of, in a culture where every moment is trying to survive, this kind of sporting event would be as entertaining and levity bringing as it seems. It's not, if that makes any sense. So the question in all of that is like, what do you think this show does really well to balance mood and realism? And are there any other examples you can think of that do it super well that you'd point people towards? Kyle.
Okay, so the first thing I thought of was, and as I was watching Egg like cheer, first
yes
off, oh my god, he's such a good actor.
He's
What's
so
his name?
good.
Hold on, I wrote this down.
absolutely crushing it.
What was the actor's name? Here we go. Dexter Soul Ansel. That's the actor's name. Okay. I was absolutely brought to a world where this is the only entertainment that you get ever. I mean, you can find entertainment with a stick playing in the mud, but like with the world we live in, there's entertainment begging you, pinging you on your phone and YouTube and all this everywhere all the time, sports, all sorts. But when he was just cheering, standing on that fence and just yelling and just cheering, I was like, I totally believed it. And I was brought into that place of like, this is the entertainment, and it's crazy entertaining and so fun and amazing. And these guys are athletes, right? Because in House of the Dragon, because of the tone, I don't feel like they're athletes. I feel like they're knights. They're warriors. They're here to kill each other. But here, I was like, no, they're not here to kill each other. They're here to fight each other for fun. It's like a boxing match, And if somebody dies, that's because it's a dangerous sport. But they're athletes. They're here for a sporting event. And I totally got that vibe. Dunk and Egg cheering and a whole crowd cheering and stuff. And then when something bad happened, he's like, we should get out of here, which is totally how I would act in nowadays if some shit went down and there's like a bunch of people everywhere, like, we're going to get trampled to death. There's a big crowd. I really thought the tone was set perfectly during that, which I enjoyed the tourney in House of the Dragon, but boy, oh boy, did this make that look bad, which was great. I really thought, again, the actor, Dexter, kid, you really got me, man.
Keep an eye on that kid, dude.
My wife was
Keep an eye on that
so
kid.
mad when we watched the last episode. She was like, I just want to watch more of that kid. And I actually had the same thing that you thought, Jeremy, about the head, about how he's like constantly perfectly shaved. And I had the same thought. I was like, damn it, I just gotta let it go.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Same thought. I was like, I just gotta let it go. I mean, I never saw. It's not like he was shaving his head and he has to get up early to go do it. We didn't get to see. Even if he got up early like a couple times and snuck off, and then Dunk's like, "Where'd you go?" I don't know. Right, and then we just like, I can fill in the pieces that he's shaving his head every morning. But you're right, it was a little weird, and that's a hot take. That's something my mom. She gets so into those kind of details. Like she watched Star Wars.
So does ours.
And she's like, why are they not sandy? They live on a sand planet. They should be sandy in episode 7, right? She's
covered in sand.
Mad. And I was like, Mom, it's
Totally
a movie.
fair.
You got to get over the sand thing. She's like, I can't get over it. So I get it. It's like a movie. You gotta let some of that stuff go. But I did have that same thought. Anyway, I digress.
They're distracting, just not important.
To answer your question, I would say the tone of just thinking, oh, this is fun. It felt so fun and so like I want to be there, and it made me forget about my phone for a second because I was like, this is the entertainment.
Yeah.
I think you're right, and I think it also like
Jeremy.
Hey,
Jeremy.
I'm going. I think this show just kind of understands what like normal day-to-day people are actually going to care about and try to do, because it's not like Game of Thrones where everybody you meet is trying to just stab their way to sitting on a throne made of stabbing things. Okay? It's not
stabby
like
ass throne.
Yeah, one stabby ass throne. And like, to the credit of Game of Thrones, I think from like there was an episode of Game of Thrones where I forget who was telling Daenerys that like, yeah, regular people do not give a shit about who sits on the throne. They care about like having an endless summer and living a good life. And that's basically what we see everybody doing in the show until the friggin' Targaryens show up and start ruining everything.
Yeah. That's fair.
As they do.
Yeah, it's what they do. It's what they're good at.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have touched on it, but I think that touch of the real world, that touch of the common person, that's what this branch of the Game of Thrones universe is all about. And I think that's why it's so relatable. It really does, you know, as somebody who goes to for about 4 years now, so since I've been married to my wife, I've had the privilege of going to the Seahawks and Rams game every year because my brother-in-law is a huge Seahawks fan. He knows I'm a Rams fan, so he's got the tickets and we go. It's a great time. And watching this show feels like watching the medieval version of going to a Rams and Seahawks game. There's a lot of really cool nuances in it where a lot of people are there who genuinely hate each other, who have like, and putting this in a medieval context is much more extreme. You have to understand, you would be in the same vicinity as people who have killed your family members, people who have like burnt your land, people who have like literally gone to war with you, but you set all that aside for this moment of levity, and there's something profoundly human about that, and it's a real thing. There's the famous Christmas soccer game in World War I where they set aside the trench warfare for a day, and the Germans and the French and the British went and played soccer on Christmas, like to just chill out for a day. And those are real things. That has also happened in South American wars. I can't remember the exact war, but there's a war similar where that soccer game like broke up the war, and there was an armistice for a day for a soccer game. But sports, entertainment, the art, these things matter to people on such a deeply profound level that they can bridge this gap of hatred and like rage and all the nastier parts of humanity. And there's a real beauty in that comes out when you gather for a common purpose like entertainment or sport. And I think this show really just leans all the fucking way into that beautiful side of humanity while also showing the brutality inherent with those events and the people who commit them. You know, like being an athlete is a in a combat sport is an inherently violent trade, and there's a trade-off there, but there's also a beauty there. There's an art to it. It's called martial arts for a reason, and I think there's a real profound beauty in this show that it explores that we don't see a lot. The only I can't think of it because I love your point there, Kyle, about the tourneys in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. Like, you watch the tourney, the hands tournaments in season 1 of Game of Thrones, and you've got the Knight of the Flowers, and he jousts against the mountain and he unseats him, and then the mountain like cuts his horse's head off and tries to fucking kill him. Yeah. And Sandor Clegane steps in and is like, no, and they fight and then they bow and whatever, and Littlefinger's back there like, you know, and twirly mustache, and like. There's all this like conniving and backstabbing, and it doesn't really explore the and it is in the book. The fun of the tournament is in the book. Like, Sansa is enamored by the tournament. When she gets that flower from Loras Tyrell, she's like, oh my God, that's my literal dream come true. And like those things are in the book, but in the show, they're sort of overshadowed by the political intrigue. And that's what I was talking about in my argument about the lens of the nobleman, the lens of the political, the like House of Cards of Game of Thrones, that this show sort of just like abandons in favor of the common person. Because Duncan Tall is the main character, and Aegon Targaryen, who is a prince, yearns to learn more about the common person from a genuinely altruistic desire to understand human beings. Like, he's just an empathetic kid. He just like is a good kid, and he sees that Duncan is a good person, and he's like, look, I've been around shitty people my whole life. I see a good person. I want to hang out with that guy. Like, I'm a kid and I don't have those inhibitions of like those like societal expectations haven't quite permeated me yet to the degree that I would rather honor decorum over my own true desires. And that's the beauty of being a child. And Aegon gets to lean into that partly because of his privilege of being a prince. And I think there's something beautiful there. So we see the development of a man who will become one of the better kings of Westeros. And he only gets that privilege because he was in the right place at the right time to meet an actual true knight who comes from the lower class. And so you see a really cool blending of all those different cultures in medieval society coming together in a tournament as they would. It's a true melting pot of society, like sports. You know, you go to a Seahawks game, you're sitting maybe by a CEO, another person who can afford a Seahawks ticket. Like, you know, like, who fucking knows who this guy is, but whatever. He's screaming at me, I'm screaming at him, and we're going to get a beer later and it'll be fine. It's a beautiful thing.
And to add to some praise, the set design was like, I do kind of wish I had a better feel of like the layout of the tourney in general. I can walk around in my brain. I can walk around Winterfell. Now, maybe that's because there's a lot of seasons of it. Yeah. But I will say it really did feel like there was so much going on in the tourney, and it was not like a cheap set where you're like, oh, that's the same tent but from a different angle, right? It did not feel like that at all. It felt like there was a bunch of different little places, and they would walk around, and because we were really from one character's perspective, even in Game of Thrones, like you are kind of God's perspective. You're watching everything all the time, where in this you're Dunk's perspective. And so if you are walking into a room, you don't get to see the castle, you just get to see the room. And I think that actually played pretty good. There was a lot of so many different little tents, and he's like buying food from this, and then he's like talking to this witch, and then he's going into the where the theater is, and then he's like, oh, standing outside this, and then he's going in this room. And it felt like a big place. There was one point where he's like on that bridge, and I'm like, wait, where is that? That's like a whole. And then that made me kind of it grew the land or the layout of the tourney, and I thought was a good way. And I could understand being like, oh, I'm kind of confused about where he is, but it didn't matter because at that point he's like sad walking too. So he's like looking down. He doesn't even know. He's just walking, right?
I think that's also kind of the point to Clayton's like comparison with sports. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, how many wrestling tournaments have you and I, Clay, been to that are like the big ones, that freestyle Greco tournaments you sign up to that are like national, and you show up and you weigh in. And I love the detail of like you don't get the fight until the 6th episode, or fifth episode. And I was like, yeah, that's a tournament right there. Is like, you show up, you weigh in, you're like, all right, I'm ready to wrestle. It's like your match is in 3.5 hours.
Mostly waiting.
Okay,
and when you go into like the basketball stadium, you like walk in and you're like, wait, where am I? And you just like walk in circles and it's all like the same stuff. But this show did not make it look like it was the same tent over and over. It was very well done. The set design was excellent, I will say.
No, you're right.
It wasn't all shot in the same 10 square yards.
Right, it was not. Yeah.
Thank God.
It's very purposeful too, because when you walk through, I only noticed this on like my third watching for this show, but when he walks into the tournament originally, he walks through 2 tents, and it's Duskendale and Beesbury. They're the 2 houses that he walks past first. And those are the 2 that, one that rejects him and one that ends up fighting for him in the tournament. Because Duskendale's the night he's like, hey, Sir Arlen fought for you. And he's like, fuck off, I'm trying to get laid.
This show definitely did what Game of Thrones does really well, which is like the more times you watch it, the more tiny details you get. And I noticed that was happening. And I had to stop myself from like pausing it and thinking, because I'm like, it's okay. You don't need to get everything the first watch. Like, that's the best thing about smart television or smart media, is it rewards a second watch or a third watch. So I'm excited. And this is my favorite thing about good shows. When season 2 comes out, I get to rewatch season 1. I mean, I remember I must have watched season 1 of Game of Thrones 7 or 8 times. Like, I watched the whole thing all the way through every single time a new season came out, right? So I'm excited for this one, because I'll learn even more. It'll be great. There was so much details. You were talking about that. I didn't read the books, but you kept talking about all the different little things that they keep talking about. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to like eventually get that. I don't need to get it right now. Eventually I'll get it, and that'll be great.
It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
I'm glad too that it's on HBO that's still doing, and I hope they hold out. They might not, but still doing the weekly release. I know I binged it, but like I'm excited to watch season 2, where it's, you know, you see one, you text your friends, you call your parents, hey, did you watch the episode? You have that conversation.
It's the best. I agree.
I really enjoy that. It's very fun.
I agree.
I miss it. It's a communal feeling, and that's particularly fitting for this season of this show. Like, it's all about community. It's all about that sort of hearkening back to older entertainment, like Kyle was saying. Like, this is all these people had. People would come from miles around to stand in the nosebleeds and watch this jousting tournament, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think too, like oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just gonna say, and it goes back to that point where Clay, it helped build that feeling, this almost Monty Python feeling of people like, oh, come on, let's not argue and bicker about who killed who. Let's just watch these sports and get drunk. It's great.
Yeah.
I remember.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, I watched. What's this? Succession. You guys seen Succession?
Yeah, I saw one episode. I enjoyed it. I just didn't keep going.
So I watched one episode, and I had this similar sort of a feeling of, what was the other one? White Lotus or whatever. I do not want to watch rich people having problems. I fucking hate rich people, and I don't give a shit if they're having problems. So when I watched Succession, I was like, I fuck these people. And when I watched Game of Thrones recently, I've been like, kind of fuck these people too. Like, fuck all these rich people. Now, Game of Thrones has much more going on to it than just rich people having problems. There is definitely more. Like, Jon Snow's, I guess he's kind of rich, but like, whatever. He doesn't fall into that category of like a billionaire. But I remember I wrote this. Class. Yeah, he's upper middle class, right? But I wrote this down, which is that I don't need heavy dramatized billionaires fighting mercilessly over castles, land, and legacy. And that's what this show did so well. I was House of the Dragon was exactly that. I don't want that. No, I actually liked season 1 because I thought, oh yeah, this is so intense. But then season 2 was like so boring that I was like, okay, well, you lost me on the intensity. Come on, have something happen, please.
I think
this
that
show had nothing happen, but it worked.
I think
Because
that's why I
it's-
asked mostly about tone, Kyle, is because
Yeah.
like this show made me reflect back on House of Dragons of like, why didn't I finish season 2?
Yeah.
And yes, I think I still had like, yeah, season 1 was fine. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, it's like the emo teenager of Westeros. It's just
Yeah,
like
totally.
every character's
It totally
line,
is.
every personality, every line is like, I'm sad and everyone wants to kill me for an hour 8
Yeah.
times. And I'm like, I'm done with that.
I'm a Targaryen and life is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's the simple plan
Exactly.
of Game of Thrones. It's the simple plan of Westeros. And I'm
The
not about
king in the first season, I forget his name. He is he was my favorite part of the show, and I felt
He
like 'cause
acted his
He was
balls
good.
off.
yeah, he acted his balls off, and he was like so not sort of like life's a nightmare. He was like, am I a good king? I feel like maybe I didn't do enough. And everybody's like, nah, everybody like had a good time when you were king. What else could you want? And he's like,
Right.
yeah, I guess so. So he was the best character. And when he died, the show just lost me. Because then I didn't notice it until you just said it. But you're right. Everybody else was so angsty and sad. Like, oh, I have $1 billion and a dragon and I'm so sad.
My dragon doesn't like me.
My dragon's only
Oh,
the
so
third
lame.
biggest dragon.
Yeah. It was so lame.
Yeah.
My brother got the biggest dragon. I'm sad.
This is
This was in this
bullshit.
show, he's like, wow, this paint job is really good. like it's
That shield
Really
is
just
sick,
like-
by the way.
That lady-
If you ever commission,
is sick.
if you get a commission back and it looks like that shield, like
Dude.
keep that artist commission on contract forever because that was
Oh, yeah.
sick.
Listen, I like where this. I don't really have many guided questions because I just love where this is going, and I feel like you guys will hop off any.
Well,
comments I
Trav,
make.
I did want to say
Go ahead.
something too because
Okay.
you had a part 2 of your question that nobody answered. You asked if there was another example,
Oh,
and I
okay.
actually.
Oh.
So I brought up Better Call Saul for a reason. I do think
Yeah.
it's a perfect spinoff like this show is. Maybe not a perfect spinoff. This show is a better spinoff than that, I think. But Better Call Saul is a good spinoff. But it's funny that crossover happened in my brain because Kyle and I's debate for years was which is the best show on television, Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones. And for the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones, that was an extremely relevant argument. And then Game of Thrones just decided not to be good anymore, and I had to secede because Breaking Bad ended when it was fucking over, and it was great. But I actually think this show and Breaking Bad have a tonal similarity that makes them both work really well. And that is that Breaking Bad does the same thing. It leads into the common person. Yeah. It leans into the humor. It leans into the levity. Like Jesse Pinkman is very much the comedic relief, but he's also the true protagonist of the story. And I think he's a lot like Duncan in that he kind of represents that like common person who's doing their best in a very hostile environment, in a very competitive, high risk, high reward environment, and manages to kind of pull it out by his own ability to persevere, despite maybe his like innate abilities, his innate instincts that Walter White is gifted with.
Yeah.
And you see him pitted directly against the people who do have those innate abilities or those higher societal positionings, even like Tuco, but then obviously like Gus and stuff. You know, Gus is like the Targaryens. You know, he's got cartel backing.
Dunk has the one innate ability of being big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
That
God.
serves you. Like, that was one thing I was going to talk about, though, is like historical realism. I really do think this was George's way of writing a historical fiction novel without
Totally.
having to be super historical. But he's clearly a nerd because of the
It is,
history.
though. It is super historical.
It
Like,
is, and,
this
like-
one leans all the way into that.
And like I'm getting more confidence in talking about this stuff because I've now for class I've read 2 primary source documents about the medieval times.
Mhm.
And like I'm discovering as I look for more most of the shit we have is either monks writing about like heroic figures and doing so in a totally biased way. Like no one had this idea of like, I'm going to write unbiased history. You
No.
pick up a medieval text, you're getting like, yeah, this guy was my best friend, and I'm going to tell you that he.
This was my dog right here.
This is my dog right here. Charlemagne, that was my dog. Like I just finished.
Straight
2
up,
lives
G.
ago.
Them
boy.
Them
You
Moors
either get
were some
that-
bitches, bro.
You either get that or you get fiction like fairy tales, and which I think I put fiction in quotes because I think there's a lot of like truth there, and like the Canterbury Tales, and that tells the common man story. And I love that Jeremy mentioned the Knight's Tale, because like if you read the Canterbury Tales and you go watch this show, you're gonna be like, that's the vibe. Like that is the vibe of the people telling these stories 100%. And I think Tone nailed it.
Okay,
So
that's cool. I just thought of something. The Expanse. Okay, I haven't watched all of The Expanse, but I did watch the first season, and I also had a similar thing of like, oh, this is like a common person's story, but it's like sci-fi. It's like crazy, insane sci-fi. But I was like, oh, these are like people who like can barely afford a ship, you know, and like I feel like they could die at any time. It did not have the same vibe of even like I don't know, other sci-fi shows where like you have your main character and then that main character is in you know, they got plot armor. Like I didn't feel like that with The Expanse. I didn't finish The Expanse or anything, but it felt like, oh yeah, this feels real and not overly dramatized, because they're like Dune. Dune is a great overly dramatized thing. These people are all gods and they have like something bigger about, like, nah, that was not The Expanse was not that. This show was not that. This was not Game of Thrones, where if Dunk gets killed, no way he's getting brought back from the dead by the Lord of Light.
No.
That ain't happening.
Nobody's
right?
gonna bother.
Yeah. So that was, so that was my thought of like a completely different genre of show that I was like, oh yeah, this is a similar sort of a common man's show.
That's the other thing I mainly wanted to talk about, was like the physicalness of this show. And again, it kind of relates to everything we've been talking about, because there are accounts, you know, whether they're true or not, a lot of those historical accounts we get tell a tale of a very Dunk-like thing, where it's like, it seems unrealistic to us, like, yeah, he'd be dead. But if we're to believe the historical documents we have about like Alexander the Great, who in his first battle got like run through with a spear and then almost trampled by a horse, survived to like kill his way across the entire Indus Valley. Like we have, you know, Charlemagne gets injured in a couple of the tales that are about him. Like these are things that we have tales about. And so 2 questions here. One, does that ever pull you out? Did you find it like really cool and engrossing, this like physicalness and how the cinematography really gets you into that battle? And 2, when you see like physical sport in movies, I just kind of generally want to know what people think about this representation, and then like, what do you look for when you see that like competitive physical sport aspect of a movie come out? Kyle.
Well, as far as physicality, I mean, I kind of talked about that a little bit. I really felt like this made me feel like armor was heavy, which video games never do.
No.
Master Chief can jump 20 feet.
You're like
in the
doing
air.
rolls and shit.
like it's just, video games never make armor feel heavy, except Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1 is awesome because when you press swing, you rear back and you swing. It doesn't matter how many other buttons you press. The moment you press swing, I mean, it takes like 15 seconds. It's so
You better want to
unforgiving.
press
You
it.
better want to swing. And this show and The King were the 2 shows that I watched where I'm like, oh, armor is heavy, right? And then Game of Thrones tried to do it with the whole mountain and the viper thing, but like it was sort of just like, oh, big guy versus little guy. It wasn't the same. It didn't hit the way that this hit. This, I mean, they obviously like kind of, you could argue, overdid it. I mean, it was so, the whole thing. They can just barely stand up. They can barely look at each other. That was an excellent fight scene.
So
what was your first part of the question?
That kind of was, but the second part being like, what do you look for when you're looking at, I guess to add a little more onto this, I guess, like, what do you look for when you're looking at physical sport represented in film, even if it's outside of the medieval era? Because I can think of like Foxcatcher. I don't love the movie as a whole because I don't think they did the story justice. It's a really famous story in the wrestling world. But there's one scene where Mark Ruffalo and Channing Tatum are doing like a drilling practice. And I was like, that is a wrestling practice. Like the way
totally.
they move, the way they're breathing, the way everything's accurate. So that's like what I look for, is that accuracy. But I don't know. I know some people look for just entertainment value when they look at like sport in movie. And I do think this is sport in show, even if it's a sport we're foreign to. So I guess that's the question. Yeah.
Yeah. The being able to suspend your disbelief this is what I mean. Even Jeremy was talking about the shaved head thing. It's like when you're watching shows, you always have to suspend your disbelief. And the more you know about something, the harder it is to do that. I'm curious if somebody who is like a LARPer, like who does jousting for fun, right? Would they be like, yeah, the show did it really good? Or would they be like, oh no, they totally chuffed it? As a climber, it's hard to watch climbing stuff.
There's no good ones except The Descent.
Hey, hey
And
Kyle,
even-
did you know they're remaking the Stallone movie?
Oh, really? Cliffhanger?
Yeah.
Oh,
my God.
See, Cliffhanger, they got sued by
They
Black
can't do
Diamond.
worse.
They
So-
got sued because, like, at the beginning when she like the harness fails, you're watching and it's like, first off, like, not even first, like Black Diamond was like, that can't happen.
That's not
happen. That metal like bent like it was made of clay. Like it's just so they sued. Anyway,
where'd you get that fucking carabiner?
Sorry for getting you off.
Come on, bro.
So bad. So when I watch, even I remember in Die Hard, there's a famous scene where he's in the elevator and in the elevator shaft and he like jumps to go grab and another elevator shaft that's like right there and he grabs it, right, and then he crawls through. But in the writing, he was supposed to just grab it and crawl through, but I guess the editor was like, oh, you know, it'd be fun because they had a shot of him missing. What if he missed the first one, hit it, missed, grabbed the second one, and stopped himself? And I'm watching, I'm like, impossible. I mean, it's just
not
physically
Not how
I don't care
stuff
how strong you are. It's too flat. It's too sweaty. It's too much force coming downwards. Stuff like that obviously will always like pull you out. This show, because I know nothing about horseback riding, was so believable. I believed everything, even more so than Game of Thrones. Even Game of Thrones, sometimes I'm like, well, I mean, a great famous example of I think it's Jamie who falls into a lake and then is pulled out of the lake. And you're like, wait a minute, there was a shot of him sinking to the ground.
In full plate.
In full plate.
Super dead.
Way. That was like a classic horrible thing. And this show, I mean, it doesn't have any of that at all. It leans so hard into the sport element of it and how realistic and challenging that would be, right? Even the whole, there were so many shots of your squire handing you your lance. I'm
the
like, they
importance
leaned
of the
into that.
squire, like slapping the
Yeah.
horse and like doing all that stuff.
There was so much of that, like the behind the scenes stuff that you don't normally see in a jousting, right? It was great.
Mhm. And there's one of my favorite scenes to that point, Kyle. There's I think it's a Tyrell, judging by the armor he was wearing, but he gets dismounted, but then someone else gets dismounted and he grabs that horse and hops on it.
Oh,
he
yeah, I
leans
love
over
that
and grabs a shield and he gets back in, and like
So badass.
God,
that
that was
probably happened,
crazy.
if you were super badass and you could pull that kind of thing off, like that kind of stuff was really, really awesome. Travis,
And it all
remind
looked
me.
real. It all looked real. There was no Legolas getting on the horse CGI.
No,
That,
there was
the
not.
Legolas clip is so funny.
It's so good. See, that's why there's just no elves in Game of Thrones, I think.
Yeah.
Because elves, they just do that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit prove that elves don't adhere to the laws of physics. But Clayton, the question was, what do you look for as like that sells you on shows with physical sport and like a depiction of that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm now thinking of my favorite example, which I can't believe took me this long to think of, but Old Boy. The
Oh,
hallway
it's
fight.
great.
The hallway fight is so amazing because he's just like tired and he's just like throwing the hammer and everyone's like, please stop coming forward. And he's like fucking lumbering on. I love that.
Old Boy's great. That's a good example of one I bring up frequently is the Northman. There's that scene where all the Vikings right after the raid just are vomiting and like doubled over in exhaustion and pain. And it's like, yes, that's how you feel after a wrestling match or any kind of martial artist match. Like your legs are literally jello. You cannot stand up. All of your muscles are like either quivering and spasming or they're completely shut down. And you just feel like, yeah, like a completely different organism. Like you're made of cartilage and you cannot stand up. And that is so rarely depicted in cinema. The Northman does it really well. That's one of my examples. I think this is another such example. I think there's another piece of it too, which is like Duncan, for example. So I think something this show does really well is it balances out the disbelievability with believable things. Like Beesbury, I forget the other knight's name. I should know it because I knew it from the books, but the guy who he breaks his leg, he's the one who Arion kills his horse and the horse falls on him, but then he agrees to fight for Sir Dunk. That guy dies in the first charge. Sir Beesbury, who's a really good knight, dies in the first charge. Baelor Targaryen, who's like the king in waiting and one of the best knights in Westeros, dies from a single mace blow to the head. And you can actually see it in the show. If you rewatch, there's a certain scene where he turns and he sees three people fighting and one guy gets hit with a mace. That's Baelor, and that is the blow that kills him from his brother. And then Duncan takes all these crazy hits, right? Like he gets hit with a flail and a mace like 3 separate times. He gets shoved through with a lance. He gets stabbed with a knife. He gets stabbed with a sword. But like that shit's also real.
Yeah.
And like, dude, believe it or not, like, yeah, there's that side of us that wants to be skeptical and be like, you'd be so dead. But like, what the fuck ever. There's also people like Aaron Donald in the world. There's also people like Randy Couture or Chuck Liddell, Rasputin, like people who can take this like inhuman amount of abuse that like
Rasputin
should
got an
not
ice pick through his head and he took it out and killed the assassin with it.
Dude, these people exist. And even in more modern times, like the athletes I just mentioned, those people are real. Like these things happen. I have referenced the Rams and Seahawks, so I'll go back to Aaron Donald, but he was consistently double, triple teamed, and he would still get sacks. He would still bring down running back. Like he was an absolute beast of a human that just doesn't make any sense because according to all NFL metrics, not be good. Like he's short, he has short arms, but he's like the best defensive player of all time. And you will see these things happen in sports sometimes, and that is the reason that Dunk has stories about him. Yeah. And it like sometimes I think you just have to look at a narrative from that perspective too, of like, okay, sure, this is unrealistic, but also who are stories about? They're about people that it's like hard to fucking believe it. And those people do exist in real life.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
To bring it to like a combat thing, one that's pretty recent, maybe 6 to 10 years ago, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder 3 boxing. Like brutal. Tyson Fury looked dead. Like
so dead.
He was knocked the hell out.
I know that fight.
On the canvas, and they give him the 10 count, and he came back to life and knocked out Deontay Wilder. Like you don't believe that it could happen.
That's what you make a movie about.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's Rocky.
That's exactly. That's what make. But even Rocky loses.
Rocky 2.
Rocky 2.
Yeah. But like that's the beauty. That's the beauty of Rocky, though, is that like you have these characters and you have all of this the drama and this character who you're rooting for, and then he kind of loses, but he kind of wins, and that's kind of how I felt with Dunk too. Like he won, but he looked like a chump doing it.
Yeah.
Like
and the fucking favorite prince of the realm killed doing it. Yeah.
So
like
it was
such
like
a high cost for his
technically
victory.
he probably should have just died. You know?
Yeah.
He should have just killed himself and let the other guy become king. That probably would have been better for the realm, right?
That's what everyone would have preferred.
Yeah. So that's where it's like, yes, you're right. That like the reason you make the show is because the luck happened. Because that's, you roll the dice a few times and you roll a nat 20 twice in a row. It's happened. I've done it.
Yeah.
And you get stabbed in some flesh wounds a couple times. No big deal.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, whatever.
And then you're able to withstand the beating, and then you can win. And the other guy, he didn't even kill the other guy. It was just, he just won because the other guy yielded, right?
This is in the same world where Martin's not afraid to take a character like Khal Drago and kill him with an infection. Like,
Brilliant. Absolutely.
And I
brilliant.
think, and I think that does a lot for like the expectations from this show, because like this is in the Game of Thrones world where you are fully expecting any person, regardless of their level of importance, to be just killed just because it makes enough sense. Like the world is random and chaotic and whatever, and like I think that's kind of a superpower of this show. It does make you kind of like pay attention. It makes you tense watching tug of war happen because you feel like somebody is going to get stabbed if the wrong person wins. And like generally I don't care very much about the physicality of movies and shows unless something is like really unique is happening physically. With that, you've got like John Wick, you've got the Daredevil series, which incredible physical things, and that's kind of the point of why you're there to watch all of that happen. But like some movies have like really incredible things going on physically, and I like that Kyle brought up Dune, because me and Megan just watched Dune parts 1 and 2.
I love Dune.
And there were so many times where she kept saying like, well, he's not going to die because he's the main character and he's doing all these crazy knife fighting maneuvers and seeing the future and like riding giant worms, and she's like, yeah, he'll be fine. Like, oh yeah. And that's kind of what you expect. And it is that thing of like, we're not taken out of the story just because we know he's going to be fine. He's the main guy. That's why we're telling this story about him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he did some incredible shit. I mean, it's not a twist if you watch Iron Man that Iron Man is still alive at the end of Iron Man.
I thought he'd die.
It just makes sense in that sort of meta style of like, yeah, this is why we're telling the story about him.
That's how I felt at the end of the show when it was like, is Egg gonna be his squire? I'm like, obviously. Like, why are we having this be a point of tension? Like, it's not tension. He's gonna be his squire. I get it. That's like a tough complaint, because it's like you don't want, even if I know what's going to happen, it's okay to have a little bit of tension to pretend, right? It's just that you don't want that to drag on too much. And they didn't drag it on too much. In fact, what they did was be like, he's like, oh yeah, we've already done spoilers, but yeah, I'll be the squire. My dad said it's fine. And then it's like, actually, he didn't say it was fine. So that was your twist, was not the fact that he's going to be the squire. We all knew he was going to be the squire. It's the fact that it kind of seems like Dunk stole him, which is probably going to be a problem in the next season. So yeah, so I did think they did the suspense well in that sense.
And it's great that Dunk is kind of dumb, so that you can have these semi-obvious twists just for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said that too, when you were like, you knew that Egg was a prince. but you knew that Dunk didn't know, and it made
No
sense.
idea.
So I actually, I'm
sense
a
no.
big fan of competency porn. Like I want to watch like The Martian and Project Hail
Oh,
Mary. I want
I
to see
just-
characters who are
Just finished the book.
yeah. The book is The Martian is so good. The book is so good. I want to see characters who are smart in tough decisions, making tough or in tough situations, making tough decisions. That's why I like the Star Trek: The Next Generation so much, because even though it's a kids show, you have characters who are all so smart and doing their very best to make tough decisions.
Right.
This show does a great job of having all of these characters who are smart making tough decisions around Dunk, who's an idiot making tough decisions. And but it works. It works. I never was like, oh, this guy's an idiot. It was more just like, this guy's kind of like, I don't know. I don't even know. He's simple.
He's just got a big heart.
A
He's
nice
simple.
guy.
Yeah,
He'll
just
pay the
basically-
extra money to make sure his horse gets extra food, even though why? Don't do
He-
that, buddy.
yeah,
But he
he's-
did it anyway.
He's
Well,
simple,
and
not in a negative way. He's simple in the
Yeah.
fact that he has a code and he just follows it.
Yeah, and he hopes everybody else is similar to him, even though he kind of knows they're not. But he's also like, I don't know, I'm a good guy. You should be a good guy.
Well, and I have a question there. Is there a higher level of intelligence that kind of goes unrecognized to the intellectual or maybe the noble in being self-aware? Because I think Dunk is profoundly self-aware. He knows what he is. He's willing to say it right in front of a prince, to his own detriment, where he's like, yeah, Sir Arlen always told me I was a dumb fuck, but like, here I am, just asking for you to let me in the tournament. But he doesn't do it in a dumbass way. He doesn't do it like without a lack of self-awareness. Instead, he does it with a profound sense of self-awareness. So profound, in fact, that it carries him through the series. It endears him to everyone around him. It's not like people are nice to him for no reason. And everyone who's nice to him is justified. Like everyone, like when Steely Pate first meets him, he's like, fuck off, give me money. Like I'm a merchant, bro. Like I will give you this armor for a day for your bullshit 2 stags that you got. But like you're gonna have to pay me. But then when Steely Pate hears what he does and he sees how everything plays out, and he's got his own feelings, I'm sure, about the Targaryens because he is a King's Landing based smith, he goes, you know what? For you, give me a copper. And there's like an almost like Buddhist kind of approach there, where Dunk is like simple, sure, but also very much living in the present moment, very self-aware, and very like in that way endearing to everyone around him. Do you think there's a level of intelligence there that we don't appreciate?
So this made me think of Sam in Game of Thrones, who knows his limitations.
Yeah,
he knows he's a coward. I'm a coward. I don't want to go fight, right? But he's smart in other ways. And then I think of Theon, who is the exact opposite. He has no idea what his limitations are at all.
Just thinks he's an absolute dog.
He thinks he's the dog of dogs, man. And so you're right that calling him an idiot is absolutely unfair, because an idiot doesn't know they're an idiot, right? So he just understands. I'm not like super book learned. I'm street smart, but even that, not so much. I'll just kind of trust people, and I'll use my abilities that I know I have to my strengths, right? So yeah, I totally agree. He's not Theon at all.
I think too, to reference another Sam, Sam in Lord of the Rings, like Sam and Frodo, he's self-aware.
Yes.
He's like, he doesn't think he's a warrior. He rises to the occasion. But also to go back to something I hark on with the show of Martin's clear knowledge of history, like these people exist. And Clayton just mentioned like Buddhists, like these Buddhist monks exist. You can read about them. These priests in like early medieval times exist. People with just this positive magnetism that go about the world. And I've read a couple of their writings. Like one that I'd reference is Saint Therese of Lisieux. She wasn't like blind. She didn't like, people think about these, they act like everything's fine and they can just pray. And it's like, no, she wasn't an idiot. She was like, yeah, the world is dark and terrible around me, but I can either like be a nihilist and think that that's, I'll just abandon myself to that, or I can walk into it with a code of positivity and like honor and try and bring as much of that into the world as I can. And I love that about Dunk, of like, he even knows, you're right, Clayton, the level of intelligence he has with the self-awareness. He knows who his mentor was. He's like not blind. He's like, yeah, he whored a lot and he wasn't that good of a warrior, but you know what? He taught me how to be a good person, and I'm going to keep doing that. So I think 100%, not only do I think it's personally a better philosophy to live your life by, I think there's examples of people we can find. Like, you don't have to believe that this is just fiction. These people exist, and will exist, who have codes and bring that positivity to the world, and infectious kind of like level of honor and goodness. And yeah, I'm big on characters like this, and I'm very excited to see where Doug goes. But
and
and I think there's sorry Jeremy. I just wanted to say, I think there's a very appreciable level of intelligence and self-awareness that is on display in the show. But go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, I think there is. Yeah, he's got the awareness of where he has skill and where he doesn't. But like, the thing that I like most about Dunk and where he is in this show, but also within the larger world that has been established before, is that like, he is put, I assume very deliberately, in the zone where he is capable of thriving. Because like, somebody who is just good and simple shows up on just regular Game of Thrones, dies in an episode or two, because they're being so, sweet and genuine. But like, on this smaller scale, where he doesn't have to worry about people scheming to take what's his because he has absolutely nothing. He's in that position where like, yeah, that's going, like, goodwill is going to go a long way with regular people and like ground level scenarios, which is almost everything he finds himself in. It's just being good, and that kind of paying off, but also kind of setting him up for future failures, is just, that feels more real than the elevated Game of Thrones. Like, yes, everything is terrible, and you win by being the most terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, if you say so.
That was
that's a really good point, Jeremy. Like, the scene that comes to mind when you say that is, there's a scene in season 6 or 7, the shitty seasons, where there's like some people building a set. You guys will maybe remember what I'm talking about. The Hound is a part of this group. This is actually after he has been defeated by Brienne and somehow didn't die. He's like carrying a log and whatever. There's these people building this set, and it's this very idyllic little scene of common people carving their own way in Westeros. And the first thought I had when I watched that scene was like, well, these people are fucked. Like, I don't know how they're fucked or who's gonna fuck them, but somebody is, and they are. And that is the only certainty I have. Like, they're dead for sure. And they were within 5 minutes of me thinking that. And this show, doesn't do that, which is,
and it's interesting because like, what's more true? I mean, it's kind of true that if you're a nice person, you're gonna get screwed over. But I also think the concept of glorifying hustle culture, which our Western culture does way too much, is like, it's so overdone. Enough with the hustle culture, man. You don't need to screw everybody over for your own gains. How about you take a step back and look at everything from a different lens. This is why I like like, for example, Parks and Rec over The Office.
Yep.
Same show, but Parks and Rec is good people trying to be better, and that's why I like it better. It makes me want to be a good person. This show is Game of Thrones, but it kind of makes me want to be a good person instead of like killing my brother for the sake of it, just in case.
Sitting there like, I could stab him right now.
I could stab him.
He would never suspect it.
He wouldn't be in the wheel anymore.
Do I really have to spot Jake on this climb? I could just pull the crash pad out from under him.
No,
this is a really nasty rock underneath it. I could just fucking, and then no one would ever suspect a thing.
Jake's listening to this podcast right now. Shout out to you, Jake. I promise I'll never do that.
I will, Jake.
I swear.
You son of a bitch. If ever I spot you again, watch your fucking back, bro.
Clay's playing like so many steps deep into the Game of Thrones.
I've got two.
I've been cultivating our friendship for decades, just to fucking pull the crash pad, bro.
I do. I got to slip in two things here, and
do it.
The biggest one is what you just mentioned, Kyle. I think it's something I'm kind of obsessed with right now with theology and a lot of the philosophy I study is like I don't think it's an and or. I think what Martin's done is brilliant, and Game of Thrones represents a reality for the upper echelons of society. Kindness kind of gets you screwed over, and it's scary. And like we see that happening in the news. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. You see it happen. Like if you try and be a good person at the higher upper echelons of power, you're going to get screwed over. But I do think he's now created this story where at the communal level, I have not found that to be true. When when I'm in the community and people know who I am, it actually is more beneficial to just try and be a good person and try and like give as much as you can. And yeah, you might get screwed over every once in a while, but you're getting screwed over by people whose name you know and whose face you know.
And like, the amount of damage they can do is like nothing.
Yeah.
Compared, they can't take you down to like the same level, just kill you. So I totally agree. Yeah.
I think I think he's representing the two realities of this thing is like, as you climb the ladder, it gets more dangerous to be kind. But when you're at the bottom, like kindness is the best currency you have. And I hate even saying currency because it's not something you should trade. It's just how you should be. But I think in small communities, it's 100% the better way to do things. And it'll actually get you further because people are like, oh, that guy can be relied on.
Also, when you say that, what am I supposed to empathize with the billionaires who screw each other over and screw us over? Because that's the game they're playing. They're playing the game where they should do that.
I think it's
that's rough.
If I were to be philosophical about it, which I love to be, I think I'd say anytime you start to tiptoe into that upper echelon, you have to do it with open eyes.
I agree. And I will say too, this show is so good in combination, which I've already said, in combination with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, whatever, you can kind of forget about it. But in combination with Game of Thrones, this show's so good because it brings up all of this stuff. I mean, alone, this show would be good, but in combination, it is elevated to a new level for sure.
Yeah. So that was the thought I had to sneak in. There was another one, but I forgot it, and I know we're getting long in the tooth here.
That's how you know it's a good show, when you can talk about it for 2 hours and 42 minutes and you still got more to say.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, I remember. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah. Good.
Someone else has a thought. I don't want to be the ender, but I almost hated the flashback episode because I usually don't like the whole like go back to the street urchin thing and show me the orphan. I'm like, Dickens did it. Stop doing Dickens. but I thought it served a really good purpose of like, we see Dunk suffer immense pain and like be stabbed and almost die of infection. And then immediately after that, we see him suffer immense pain, almost die. And it gave the viewer that little connection of like, And I even thought it while watching the scene. As soon as he got up and like punched Aemon, I was like, Aemon hasn't suffered like that. Aemon's gonna cripple as soon as he feels pain, but Dunk has, and like that gives you the little. It was a cool connection, I thought, and I was glad to see a flashback scene serve more of a purpose than like sympathy for the orphan boy and let's get this one girl character in there.
I actually thought it brought great sympathy for Pennytree because
totally,
because Dunk was constantly saying Pennytree was a good guy, but we only saw Pennytree kind of being a loser, right?
And a dick,
and
he beats the shit out of Dunk in episode 1. Like every,
but when you
there was only one
flashback-
time he didn't deserve it though. So
yeah, right. But when you see the flashback, you realize, okay, Pennytree is a good guy. He's just the good guy in the way he knows how to be a good guy. He saved Dunk even though he was drunk, and then he took him in under his wing, and Dunk had nothing and nobody, and that's why he keeps talking so good. So Pennytree was a good guy, but not quite as good of a guy as Dunk thinks. So it actually gave a lot of perspective on his night also, not just on Dunk, but on his night as well, which I really liked a lot.
Me too. I also, Travis, you brought this up earlier, but the prevalence of violence in medieval society and death, like that flashback served it really well.
It did.
Because we saw multiple deaths. I think 4 people died at the end of that, not counting everybody who was dead on the battlefield and they were picking the shit off their corpses. But and that was just right outside the city. Like, imagine if, we all were, you went to Philadelphia and battles happened there, like imagine if just like where you went to college, like a battle happened and it was like, 15 miles from here, there's like 1,000 dead people just laying there.
Go loot them.
Go loot them. Good money in it. But like, it showed that, but it also showed Rafe, and it showed the two, and like as shitty as they were people that you knew. So it's like your bullies, but like in high school, like it's one thing to have bullies, but it's another for those 2 bullies to get fucking killed by like a random dude who was like drunk and a knight, that just showed up and was like, fuck you. And then all those people are dead,
Yeah.
Like literally dead. And that was something people had to cope with on a very different level in that time period that I think that drove home and was something that they sort of alluded to earlier in the season, the prevalence of death and the importance of that to the narrative. And then they really drove it home with the flashbacks because they started it with, again, like levity. Like there was some comedy in that scene. Like he was like picking off the horseshoe, and then the guy came back to life, and then he was like, I'm gonna suffocate you, and she was like, wait, and like it was kind of a funny scene in a really fucked up way, like some really dark comedy, but they ultimately, and then they try to save him, and he just fucking dies because of course he does. Like that guy's obviously got a spinal cord injury. He can't just drag him out from underneath the horse.
No.
And then like we all know that as a viewer, but they're kids and they don't. And, there's a really like genuine aspect to that I thought was quite brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know it as Game of Thrones viewers too, right? We know that like given any situation that isn't perfect, you're dead. Mm-hmm. So that was also like sort of a subversion of expectations in the sense that like the show is telling us, oh yeah, this is Game of Thrones. People are gonna die all the time, but then they don't, And so I really like that. They really rode that line so perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was always this sort of like, well, it could happen, and then it's just like, well, this isn't actually the setting for that.
Yeah,
turns out. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah.
Well, shall we rate this thing?
Let's do it.
It is time.
Kyle, you've watched the show, but I'm sure you know. We go, how many drinks or substances of your choice do you need to enjoy Night of the Seven Kingdoms to the fullest extent? And we'll start with you, Jeremy, because you didn't finish the shit.
Yeah. Hey, I gave it 3 episodes. I give it 3 whole episodes. That's a good college try. All right.
That's 50%.
That is 50%. And honestly, it skews my whole viewing system.
It does.
And I'm upset. So here's what we have to do because it's so short, right? We have to kind of pregame it a little. I'd say 3 shots before you begin. That way, you're pre-buzzed going in. You want enough, right, that you can sort of maintain it, because you can crush a few episodes of this at a time because they're not very long, you know? But you'll want to, you know, if you see shitting, just slam another one, all right? And that should leave you in the right place when he starts talking about Arlen to all the other knights to try to get his to get someone to vouch for him. That when you see Arlen and his just thick, girthy hog, that you don't wonder.
So
you don't wonder, like, wait, is this part of what he's telling to people, or is this?
I don't think he has to tell him, bro. Like that thing.
Everybody knows.
You can see that through the trousers. You can see that through plate mail. That's going to be pushing up. That's going to be pushing up a fucking.
Yep.
Exactly.
Badwater Bouldering, by the way, at 8:12, Badwater Bouldering said, sorry, I haven't been paying attention for 30 minutes. I'm looking at it right now.
I see.
We don't blame you, Jake. It's very distracting.
Don't blame you, buddy.
It's been distracting me for days. Okay.
What are you going to do?
Sweet Jesus, you can't even wrap a whole hand around that. Anyway.
Yeah, you're going to need 2.
Need at least 2. Anyway, if get past that, just keep the buzz going. It'll help you enjoy. It'll help you not think of, like, if you watched the end of Game of Thrones. It'll keep that away from your mind, and it'll keep you just very present, mindful. Yeah.
I like it.
So I don't know. 8 to 10.
Sweet.
For a whole show, that's very conservative, Jeremy.
Very tame,
Travis?
I think you gotta get mead. I would suggest for my drinking game I'm about to propose to get the 10.1% from Valhalla, either the Earl Grey or the All Fathers. That's still steep, but it's not. This first guy started off with the 14.4.
Hey, damn, you slammed 3 of those tonight, bro?
Damn, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, you get mead.
Putting me to shame.
Big thing of mead. You're going to pour yourself 1 horn, 7-ounce horn to start every episode. So that's
you do need a horn. So
6 7-ounce horns off the bat. And then hard mode. So that's easy mode. Is just 1 7-ounce horn per episode. You're going to binge watch this thing because it's fast and it's really well paced. So you'll have 6 drinks and probably, what is that math? 30, whatever. However many hours that is, like 3. Nope. Kyle, what you had?
No. I was just counting. 30.
Yeah. Whatever that ends up. You're going to have that many drinks in like 3 or 4 hours. Hard mode is start every episode with one of these guys and then pour an additional one for every time a character drinks from a horn or a tankard.
That's good.
In the show, which is going to be another like 12. So you'll be very drunk. If you play hard mode, if you play easy mode, you'll be buzzed. If you play hard mode, you will be plastered.
Mm-hmm.
That's my game.
Boom.
Boom.
All right. So, oh geez. So,
get in there, man.
I sent my wife to get me some dragon's milk because I knew the corner store had it. She got me this triple mash, much stronger, than your average dragon's milk, which you can tell by the slurring of my words on this podcast right now.
You're doing great.
I've
bud.
had 2 of these motherfuckers tonight.
Oh God.
2 of a 4-pack. Now, here's what I have to say.
Whole 4-pack.
These are 17%.
Oh,
Insane, bro.
Drink 1 per episode. You'll be feeling just
You'll
good.
be feeling just great.
Now, if you want to play in hard mode, commit yourself to drinking 1 per episode, and then drink a average beer of your choice. So 5 to 6%. Well, let's say 3 to 5% is more of an average beer every time they drink in the show. That's hard mode. So go ahead and just drink along with the show, but also commit to a Dragon's Milk triple barrel, triple mash every episode.
Thank you, Deanna.
You'll feel
Thank
like
you,
a
Deanna.
Baratheon.
This is a really good fucking beer, by the way. Like, if you haven't had the triple mash Dragon's Milk, boy.
Yeah, so I've never had a dragon's milk either, but I had this one tonight, and it was so good, dude.
Dragon's
Tasty
Milk
Gold,
rocks.
I was into it. I was very into it.
I've never had that one, Kyle. I'm going to try it in the future.
It was excellent. And I would agree with you, actually. I was going to say the same thing. One of these per episode is great. I would recommend, though. I mean, you can't do it now because they're all out, but like once a week is the way to watch TV. So
It really is.
Trying to do once a week, or maybe once every 2 or 3 days. Maybe 2 or 3 days is good. Yeah. Every other day, or every day would be fine too. Just don't binge it. I recommend
Space it
not
out.
binge. Space it out.
Yeah.
And I would say, one of these is good. I think I would love to the next time I watch drink when the characters drink, because there's a lot of partying in this show, and
They
that
have
can be
fun, man.
really exciting and really fun to do that.
They have fun.
Oh yeah.
Add to that, if you get a little buzzed during your first watch through, that's fine, because the actual like important plot is pretty easy to follow. And then the next time you watch it, you'll be able to get even more and all of the subplots and the backstory and all this other details that exist within the show. So don't worry if you miss those things the first time around, you're going to watch it again. Definitely worth a second watch through.
Yes.
Indeed. And while we have you there on the big screen, Kyle, tell the good fermented folks who you are, what you do, where they can find you.
I'm Kyle Love. I am a general filmmaker, so you'll see me working on any of Clay's film projects. You can watch me and Clay in our project that we made, Tree Solo, on BadWater Bouldering. You can also watch me doing a lot of
Tree
bouldering
Solo.
on YouTube, BadWater Bouldering. Check it out.
Hell
So
yeah.
good. Tree
Go to
Solo, man, my
BadWater Bouldering.
favorite.
If you like climbing videos, BadWater Bouldering is awesome. They mix in lots of fun pop culture references. They mix in lots of good narrative storytelling. And the Smithbrook series particularly is great. It even tells the sort of like dark side of being an editor and an injured climbing partner on the background of somebody else climbing really hard and succeeding in a lot of their goals while the other person is injured. It's fucking great. So you should go check it out. BadWater Bouldering is fucking awesome. I've been a patron for almost a decade, and I highly recommend it. There's a reason they've been commissioned to write the literal next book on Washington bouldering. So let's fucking go, Kyle. You're crushing it, brother.
Yeah, man.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Fermented Folks, for putting up with us for 3 fucking hours. Somebody is still watching. I think it's probably Jake, but let's go. Fucking, we love you, Jake, and we appreciate you, brother. Night of the Seven Kingdoms is great, too. Go watch it. And this is Fermented Fiction. We have been your fermented hosts.
We are
Travis, Jeremy, and Clay, as per usual. Next time you'll see us, we'll be live with Matt Dinneman. We won't be streaming that, but we will release it recorded. And yeah, if you're in the Seattle area, seriously, come to the Crypticon convention. Check it out live. We got Matt Dinneman and Philip Fracassi live on stage. It's going to be fucking sick. And we're debating Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Like, what else could you want?
Nothing.
Yeah, come on.
Could you
dude.
want a single other fucking thing? What else can we do?
A beer?
Okay.
A pretty big pizza?
We're gonna have beer.
A
We're
giant
gonna have
schlong.
specified cocktails from a local
Let's
horror bar.
go.
Like, let's
Hell
go,
yes.
bro.
Yeah,
Show up. We'll be there, and we hope to see you. Thank you, Fermented Folks, for being here. As always, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Later.
Goodbye.